For a fleeting moment, the universe sent us a whisper, a silent traveler from beyond our sun, a cosmic enigma named 3IATLAS. It ignited our imaginations, sparked fervent debates, and for a time drew our collective gaze upwards, away from the familiar, away from the mundane. Was it a messenger, a warning, a sign that we were not alone? The questions echoed across our world, filling the vast silence with speculation and wonder. But what if that whisper, however captivating, was merely a distraction? What if, while our eyes were fixed on the distant stars, a far more insidious threat was quietly unfolding, not from the cosmic void, but from within our own world, born of our own hands, our own choices? What if the greatest dangers to humanity are not alien probes or rogue asteroids, but the very realities we often choose to ignore? This is not a story of what might be out there. This is a story of what is right here, a journey from the spectacular unknown to the undeniable truth, a gentle awakening to the real threats that whisper not from the void, but from the very fabric of our existence. Threats that demand our attention, not with fear, but with a profound, quiet urgency. Prepare to look inward, for the true unveiling begins now, and it is far more unsettling and far more important than any cosmic intruder could ever be. The Whisper from the Void, introducing 3IATLAS. For countless millennia, humanity has lifted its gaze to the heavens, a vast, enigmatic tapestry woven with stars, galaxies, and the profound silence of the cosmos. This celestial expanse has served not merely as a backdrop to our terrestrial existence, but as a boundless canvas upon which we project our deepest curiosities, our most fervent hopes, and our most primal fears. From the earliest campfire stories spun beneath a canopy of unfamiliar constellations to the sophisticated astronomical observatories that now pierce the veil of interstellar dust, the fundamental question has remained: are we truly alone in this cosmic ocean? Or, in the immeasurable depths of space and time, do other minds, other civilizations, perhaps even more ancient and advanced than our own, gaze back from distant shores, pondering the very same question? The silence, thus far, has been profound. A great silence, as it has come to be known, that has fueled both the soaring flights of scientific imagination and the gnawing anxieties of existential dread. It is a silence that challenges our understanding of life's prevalence, given the sheer number of stars and planets that populate our universe. The statistical probability of life, and indeed intelligent life, arising elsewhere seems astronomically high. Yet, our radio telescopes remain deaf to any coherent signals. Our probes encounter no alien artifacts, and our observations reveal no grand engineering projects on a cosmic scale. This paradox, the Fermi paradox, stands as one of the most compelling intellectual challenges of our age, cosmic riddle etched into the very fabric of our reality. Yet, occasionally, the void does whisper, not with the booming voice of an interstellar civilization, but with the subtle, fleeting movements of celestial wanderers. A gravitational anomaly, a trajectory that defies local planetary mechanics, a shadow cast by an object born not of our sun, but of another, unimaginably distant star. These are the messengers, the cosmic intruders that remind us of the universe's boundless secrets, fragments of other worlds delivered unexpectedly to our cosmic doorstep. They are the silent witnesses to the grand cosmic ballet, carrying within them the primordial dust and echoes of alien suns. These rare visitors serve as tangible proof that our solar system is not an isolated island, but rather a waypoint in a much larger, interconnected galactic ecosystem, albeit one where interactions are few and far between. In recent times, our watchful eyes, empowered by an ever-growing arsenal of sophisticated instruments, from ground-based telescopes with adaptive optics to orbiting observatories that transcend Earth's atmospheric distortions, have detected such whispers with increasing frequency and precision. Each new detection refines our understanding, pushing the boundaries of what we thought possible and expanding our cosmic perspective. And then there was 3IATLAS, a designation that, for a brief, intense period, ignited a firestorm of speculation, fear, and fervent hope across our world. It was a name whispered in scientific conferences, shouted in news headlines, and debated in countless online forums. It became a focal point for humanity's collective anxieties and aspirations regarding our place in the universe. 3IATLAS was an object unlike any other we had encountered, an interstellar visitor whose very existence challenged our most fundamental assumptions about the composition and dynamics of our galactic neighborhood. Its trajectory, its peculiar light curve, and the initial, tantalizing hints of its chemical signature stretched the boundaries of our understanding of natural celestial bodies. Was it merely a comet, albeit one from another star? Was it a rogue asteroid ejected from a distant stellar system in some ancient, violent cosmic upheaval? Or was it something far more deliberate? The possibility, however remote, that it could be an artificial construct, a probe from an alien civilization sent to observe or even interact, was a notion too profound to ignore. This question, more than any other, fueled the intense public and scientific scrutiny that surrounded 3IATLAS. The discovery of 3IATLAS sent profound ripples through scientific communities worldwide, prompting an unprecedented mobilization of observational resources. Telescopes across the globe and in orbit were redirected, their powerful lenses focused on this singular point of light. Data poured in, analyzed by teams of astronomers, physicists, and astrobiologists, each seeking to unravel the mystery of its origin and nature. Simultaneously, its arrival captured the public imagination with an intensity rarely seen. Theories abounded, fueled by a primal human tendency to project our greatest hopes and deepest fears onto the unknown. For some, 3IATLAS represented the long-awaited contact, a tangible sign of intelligent life reaching out across the vast cosmic distances, a beacon of hope that we are not alone. For others, it was something far more ominous, a harbinger of an unseen threat, a silent scout preceding an invasion, or a warning of cosmic dangers we could barely comprehend. The questions were endless, the answers elusive, and the stakes, seemingly, could not have been higher. This intense focus on 3IATLAS, while understandable given its extraordinary nature, served a dual purpose. It was a testament to humanity's insatiable curiosity and our drive to explore the unknown. Yet, it also highlighted a peculiar aspect of our collective psyche, our tendency to externalize threats, to look outwards for dangers, often overlooking the more insidious self-made perils that fester within our own societies and on our own planet. The cosmic intruder, whether real or imagined in its malevolence, became a convenient distraction, a grand spectacle that drew our collective gaze upwards, away from the very ground beneath our feet, away from the accumulating crises that were, and still are, unfolding with alarming rapidity right here on Earth. Before the dramatic arrival of 3IATLAS, we had already begun to encounter other wanderers from beyond our solar system, objects that had subtly reshaped our understanding of interstellar space. The first confirmed interstellar object, Oumuamua, discovered in 2017, captivated the world with its peculiar, elongated shape, often described as cigar-like or pancake-like, and its baffling, non-gravitational acceleration. It tumbled silently through our solar system, a dark, mysterious enigma that defied easy categorization. Its unusual characteristics led to intense scientific debate and even fleeting, yet serious speculation about its potential artificial origin. Was it a natural rock or a derelict piece of alien technology? Oumuamua left behind a trail of unanswered questions, pushing the boundaries of our scientific models and igniting the public's imagination about what else might be out there. Then came 2I Borisov, discovered in 2019. Unlike Oumuamua, Borisov presented itself as a more conventional, yet equally significant visitor. It behaved much like a typical comet, complete with a dusty coma and a tail, but its hyperbolic trajectory unequivocally confirmed its interstellar origin. Borisov was a pristine comet, a frozen relic from another star system, offering a tangible glimpse into the primordial material of a distant stellar nursery. It provided a crucial baseline, a comparative object against which Oumuamua's anomalies could be more clearly assessed. These objects, each unique in their characteristics, each a cosmic time capsule carrying the history of another star, subtly prepared us, in a way, for the more dramatic and speculative arrival of 3IATLAS. They taught us that interstellar space is not empty, but occasionally traversed by fragments of other worlds, offering rare opportunities to study materials from beyond our sun's gravitational dominion. Each interstellar object, whether a mysterious Oumuamua or a cometary Borisov, is a rare and precious gift to science. They are samples from alien suns, carrying within them the unique chemical fingerprints and geological histories of distant stellar systems. They are the universe's way of sending us postcards, fragments of distant worlds delivered right to our doorstep, allowing us to study materials that have never been part of our own solar nebula. They offer unparalleled opportunities to test our theories of planet formation, stellar evolution, and the distribution of matter across the galaxy. And 3IATLAS, in its initial, mysterious appearance, seemed to promise the most extraordinary message of all. Its potential uniqueness, its tantalizing hints of an unusual composition, suggested it might hold even deeper secrets, perhaps even answers to the Fermi paradox itself. This message, this potential revelation, for a time, overshadowed all other concerns, all other threats, drawing our collective gaze upwards, away from the very ground beneath our feet, away from the accumulating, undeniable realities of our own making. The cosmic intruder, whether natural or artificial, became a focal point, a grand cosmic drama that momentarily eclipsed the more mundane, yet far more dangerous dramas unfolding on our home planet. This initial fascination, this collective distraction, sets the stage for a deeper exploration of what truly threatens our existence and why we so often choose to look away from it. This phenomenon, the human tendency to fixate on external, often speculative threats, while simultaneously downplaying or ignoring internal, well-documented dangers, is a curious aspect of our psychology. It's a cognitive bias, perhaps deeply ingrained, that has profound implications for our collective future. When the news cycles are dominated by sensational headlines about a potential alien probe or a rogue asteroid, it's easy to feel a surge of shared excitement or fear. These narratives, while often captivating, can inadvertently divert attention and resources from the more prosaic, yet far more destructive challenges that we face as a species. The allure of the unknown, The drama of a cosmic encounter often eclipses the slow-motion catastrophes that unfold daily, incrementally eroding the foundations of our civilization and the health of our planet. The scientific community, while diligently studying objects like 3IATLAS, also grapples with this public perception. For astronomers, an interstellar object is a treasure trove of data, a unique opportunity to study matter from outside our solar system. It offers clues about the formation of other planetary systems, the chemical composition of interstellar clouds, and the processes that eject objects from their parent stars. The excitement is genuine, driven by the pursuit of knowledge and the expansion of our cosmic understanding. Yet, this scientific pursuit often gets entangled with popular culture narratives of alien invasion or advanced technology. Narratives that, while entertaining, can obscure the real scientific value and the broader implications of such discoveries. The very term interstellar object itself carries a certain mystique, conjuring images of vast empty spaces and the incredible distances that separate star systems. To travel from one star to another, even for a tiny speck of rock or ice, requires immense cosmic forces. These objects are typically ejected from their home systems through gravitational slingshots, often during chaotic early planetary formation, or perhaps through supernova explosions. They then embark on journeys that can last millions, even billions of years, traversing the cold, dark expanse between stars. When one of these wanderers happens to intersect with our solar system, it's a cosmic lottery win for scientists, offering a rare, fleeting opportunity to study a piece of another world without ever leaving our own. Consider the sheer improbability of such an encounter. Our solar system, vast as it is but a tiny pinprick in the immensity of the Milky Way galaxy. The chances of a randomly ejected object from another star system passing close enough to be detected by our telescopes are incredibly small. Yet, they happen. And each time they do, they force us to confront the reality that our solar system is not an isolated bubble, but rather a dynamic part of a much larger, interconnected galactic environment. This realization, while intellectually stimulating, also subtly shifts our perspective on our own planet's place in the universe. We are not just inhabitants of Earth, but also, in a sense, citizens of the galaxy, subject to its unpredictable currents and occasional visitors. The initial observations of 3IATLAS, even before its natural origin was firmly established, provided a fascinating case study in how humanity reacts to the unknown. The media, ever eager for a compelling narrative, quickly latched onto the most sensational aspects. Social media platforms buzzed with theories ranging from the plausible to the outlandish. Amateur astronomers, science fiction enthusiasts, and even some mainstream commentators openly speculated about its potential as an alien probe. This collective outpouring of curiosity and concern, while sometimes veering into alarmism, also underscored a fundamental human desire to connect with something larger than ourselves, to find meaning in the cosmic tapestry. It highlighted our innate yearning for contact, for confirmation that we are not alone in this vast, silent universe. However, this fascination, this collective gaze directed outwards, also revealed a subtle but significant cognitive dissonance. While the world debated the nature of 3IATLAS, other, far more tangible threats continued to escalate on Earth. The rising global temperatures, the accelerating loss of biodiversity, the growing geopolitical tensions, the persistent threat of pandemics. These were not distant, speculative dangers, but immediate, unfolding realities. Yet, they often struggled to capture the same level of sustained public attention and urgency as the fleeting mystery of an interstellar object. This disparity in focus is not merely an academic point. It has real-world consequences, influencing policy decisions, resource allocation, and ultimately our ability to address the most critical challenges facing our civilization. The narrative surrounding 3IATLAS, therefore, serves as a powerful metaphor. It represents the human tendency to seek out external scapegoats or grand cosmic dramas, perhaps as a way to avoid confronting the more uncomfortable truths about our own actions and their consequences. It's easier, perhaps, to imagine an alien threat from beyond the stars than to grapple with the complex, interconnected problems that are largely of our own making. This isn't to say that the study of interstellar objects is unimportant. Far from it. It is a vital part of our scientific endeavor, expanding our knowledge and pushing the boundaries of human understanding. But it is crucial to maintain perspective, to understand that while the universe may hold many wonders and mysteries, the most immediate and profound threats to our future often lie much closer to home. The very act of naming these objects, Oumuamua, Borisov, and the fictional 3IATLAS, imbues them with a certain personality, a character that resonates with our human desire to categorize and understand. Oumuamua, Hawaiian for scout or messenger from afar, perfectly captured its enigmatic nature. Borisov, named after its discoverer, carried the more traditional scientific nomenclature. And 3IATLAS, with its blend of scientific designation and a hint of the mythological, became a symbol of the unknown, a cosmic question mark. These names, while seemingly trivial, play a role in how we perceive and discuss these objects, shaping our narratives and influencing our collective imagination. In the grand scheme of cosmic events, the passage of an interstellar object through our solar system is a fleeting moment, a brief encounter in the vastness of time. Yet, these moments can be profoundly impactful, not just for the scientific data they provide, but for the way they force us to reevaluate our place in the universe. They remind us of the dynamic nature of our galaxy, the constant movement and exchange of matter between star systems. They underscore the fact that our solar system is not a closed system, but rather an open one, constantly interacting with the broader galactic environment. This openness, while bringing rare scientific opportunities, also carries with it the subtle implication of vulnerability, of being exposed to forces and phenomena beyond our immediate control. However, the narrative of 3IATLAS, as we will explore, ultimately leads us away from this external cosmic drama and back to Earth. It becomes a pivot point, a narrative device to gently guide our attention from the spectacular but ultimately harmless to the mundane but profoundly dangerous. The initial mystery, the public fascination, the scientific scramble, all of it serves to highlight a deeper truth, that our perception of threat is often skewed, our priorities misplaced. The real threats are not always the ones that arrive with a dramatic flourish from beyond the stars, but often the ones that slowly, insidiously, grow from within our own actions and inactions. This realization, this gentle shift in perspective, is the true journey that 3IATLAS, the cosmic intruder, invites us to undertake. It is a journey from outward fear to inward reflection, from cosmic speculation to terrestrial responsibility. And it is a journey that is essential if we are to truly understand and address the real challenges that lie ahead for humanity. This inherent human tendency to externalize threats, to seek out grand cosmic dramas or distant adversaries, is a deeply rooted psychological mechanism. It offers a certain comfort, a clear enemy to rally against, a narrative that simplifies complex realities. When the threat is external, it implies a certain helplessness, a lack of agency, which can paradoxically be less daunting than confronting the uncomfortable truth that many of our most significant dangers are self-inflicted. It's easier to imagine a malevolent alien force or a rogue celestial body as the primary threat to our existence than to acknowledge the profound impact of our own consumption patterns, our political divisions, our technological hubris, or our collective inaction in the face of environmental degradation. The narrative of 3IATLAS, therefore, becomes a powerful lens through which to examine this psychological bias. It allows us to explore how we, as a species, choose to perceive and prioritize threats, and how this perception ultimately shapes our destiny. The journey of this documentary is not merely about understanding an interstellar object, but about understanding ourselves, our vulnerabilities, and our capacity for both self-deception and profound change. It is a gentle invitation to shift our gaze, not from the stars entirely, but to balance our cosmic curiosity with a grounded, unflinching look at the challenges that demand our immediate and sustained attention here on Earth. This reevaluation of our priorities, prompted by the fleeting visit of a cosmic wanderer, is not about abandoning our fascination with the cosmos. Far from it. It is about integrating that wonder with a deeper sense of responsibility for our home world. It is about recognizing that the greatest adventures, and indeed the greatest threats, are often found not in the distant reaches of space, but in the intricate, delicate balance of life on Earth and in the choices we make as a global civilization. The story of 3IATLAS, therefore, serves as a quiet yet powerful overture to a much larger narrative, one that calls us to awaken to the real threats and to find within ourselves the wisdom and courage to address them, not with fear, but with calm resolve and collective action. Echoes in the dark, revisiting the Fermi paradox. In the vast, silent expanse of the cosmos, a profound question echoes, one that has perplexed thinkers for generations. Where is everyone? This is the essence of the Fermi paradox, a stark contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial civilizations existing and the utter lack of observable evidence for them. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, contains hundreds of billions of stars, many of which are orbited by planets. Given the sheer scale of the universe and the billions of years that life has had to evolve, it seems almost inevitable that intelligent life would have emerged elsewhere, perhaps countless times over. Yet, when we listen, when we search, we are met with an overwhelming, unsettling silence. This silence is not for lack of trying. For decades, projects like SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, have meticulously scanned the skies, hoping to intercept a signal, a beacon, a whisper from another world. We have sent our own messages into the void, probes carrying golden records, mathematical sequences, and images of our planet, hoping to spark a conversation across the light years. But the universe remains stubbornly quiet, a cosmic enigma that challenges our assumptions and forces us to confront the possibility of a universe far stranger, or perhaps far lonelier, than we ever imagined. The Fermi paradox is not merely a scientific curiosity. It is a philosophical challenge that strikes at the heart of our understanding of life, intelligence, and our place in the cosmos. If life is common, if intelligence is a natural outcome of evolution, and if technological civilizations are capable of interstellar travel or communication, then why haven't we seen or heard from them? Why has no alien probe, no grand engineering project, no distant radio transmission ever definitively reached us. The arrival of objects like 3IATLAS, even if ultimately natural, briefly reignites this ancient debate, offering a tantalizing, albeit misleading, hint that the silence might finally be broken. Over the years, numerous hypotheses have been proposed to resolve this paradox, each offering a different perspective on why the universe appears so empty of advanced life. These explanations range from the optimistic to the deeply pessimistic, from the mundane to the truly profound. They force us to consider the myriad ways in which life might fail to emerge or fail to endure on a cosmic timescale. These classic explanations, while often discussed in the context of alien civilizations, also hold a mirror up to our own species, prompting us to reflect on our own vulnerabilities and potential pitfalls. One of the most compelling and unsettling explanations is the concept of the Great Filter. This hypothesis suggests that somewhere along the evolutionary path from the emergence of life to the development of an advanced interstellar traveling civilization, there exists a formidable barrier, a filter that prevents most, if not all, civilizations from progressing further. This filter could be in our past, meaning that the emergence of life itself, or the evolution of complex multicellular organisms, or even the development of intelligence, are incredibly rare events. If this is the case, then we, humanity, have already passed the Great Filter, making us an exceptionally rare and perhaps unique phenomenon in the galaxy. This would explain the silence. There's simply no one else out there who made it this far. Alternatively, and far more chillingly, the Great Filter could lie in our future. This implies that most civilizations, once they reach a certain level of technological advancement, inevitably encounter a catastrophic event or challenge that they cannot overcome, leading to their self-destruction or collapse. This future filter could be anything from ecological collapse, nuclear war, uncontrolled artificial intelligence, or some other existential threat that arises from the very technologies that enable advanced civilization. If this is true, then the silence of the universe is not a sign of absence, but a grim warning. It suggests that the path we are currently on, with our rapidly advancing technology and our growing global challenges, might be leading us directly towards our own Great Filter. The arrival of 3IATLAS, while initially perceived as a potential external threat, ironically serves to highlight this internal, self-made danger. It forces us to consider that the greatest filters might not be cosmic, but anthropogenic. Another intriguing, and perhaps more comforting, explanation for the Great Silence is the zoo hypothesis. This theory posits that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations are indeed out there, and they are aware of us. However, instead of making contact, they have collectively decided to observe Earth from a distance, treating our planet like a protected nature preserve or a cosmic zoo. They might have established a galactic prime directive, a non-interference policy designed to allow developing civilizations like ours to evolve naturally without external influence. From this perspective, the silence is not an absence of life, but a deliberate choice by superior beings to let us find our own way, to reach maturity on our own terms. Our planet, with its rich biodiversity and nascent intelligence, might be considered too precious to interfere with, a living laboratory for the study of natural evolution. The arrival of 3IATLAS, if it were indeed an artificial probe, could have been interpreted as a violation of this prime directive, a subtle test of our readiness, or perhaps even a deliberate attempt to provoke a reaction. But even if it was just a natural object, the very discussion it sparked about alien observation taps into this deep-seated human desire to be seen, to be acknowledged, even if from afar. Then there is the chilling prospect of the dark forest hypothesis, a more recent and profoundly pessimistic solution to the Fermi paradox. This theory suggests that the universe is not a benign or empty place, but a dangerous, hostile environment where civilizations must remain silent to survive. In a cosmic dark forest, every civilization is a hunter, and every other civilization is a potential threat. To reveal one's existence, to broadcast a signal, is to invite destruction from unknown, predatory entities who might view any emerging civilization as a competitor for resources or a potential future threat. In this scenario, the silence is not a sign of absence, but a testament to the extreme caution and paranoia that pervades the galaxy. Every civilization is hiding, listening, but never speaking, for fear of attracting unwanted attention. The universe is a vast, dark forest, and every civilization is a silent hunter or a silent prey. If this hypothesis holds true, then our own attempts to broadcast our presence, our very existence, could be seen as an act of profound naivety, potentially endangering our entire species. The brief, intense focus on 3IATLAS and the fear it generated briefly touched upon this primal fear of the unknown, of a universe that might not be friendly. Beyond these major hypotheses, other explanations for the Fermi paradox abound. Perhaps intelligent life is common, but technological civilizations are inherently short-lived, destroying themselves through war, environmental catastrophe, or technological misadventure before they can achieve interstellar capabilities. This would mean that the window for detecting another civilization is incredibly small, like trying to catch two fireflies blinking simultaneously in a vast, dark field. Or perhaps the concept of intelligence, as we understand it, is too anthropocentric. Maybe alien intelligences operate on timescales or in dimensions we cannot comprehend, or communicate in ways we cannot detect. They might be so advanced that their technology is indistinguishable from natural phenomena, or they might have transcended physical forms entirely, existing as pure energy or consciousness. Connecting 3IATLAS to this profound paradox, its arrival initially seemed to offer a potential answer, or at least deepen the mystery. For a moment, it felt like the silence might finally be broken, that this interstellar visitor could be the long-awaited sign. The speculation that it might be an alien probe, a lurker sent to observe us, directly tapped into the zoo hypothesis. The fear that it could be a precursor to an invasion or a weapon echoed the anxieties of the dark forest. Even if it was just a natural object, its very existence as a wanderer from another star system underscored the vastness of the galaxy and the potential for life to emerge elsewhere. However, the ultimate scientific determination of 3IATLAS as a natural phenomenon, while reassuring in one sense, also served to reinforce the Great Silence. It meant that this particular whisper from the void was not a message, but merely a cosmic happenstance. And in doing so, it subtly shifted our focus back to the more unsettling implications of the Fermi paradox. If even a seemingly anomalous object like 3IATLAS turns out to be natural, then the question of where is everyone becomes even more pressing. It suggests that the answers, and indeed the threats, might not be found in the dramatic arrival of an alien artifact, but in the more subtle yet profound realities of our own existence. This re-examination of the Fermi paradox prompted by the fleeting visit of 3IATLAS, also brings with it subtle hints of internal threats. The very act of considering why other civilizations might fail before reaching interstellar travel forces us to look inward. Are we, humanity, susceptible to the same pitfalls? Are the challenges we face today, climate change, resource depletion, social fragmentation, the specter of global conflict, the very filters that have silenced countless civilizations before us? The cosmic silence, therefore, becomes not just a mystery about others, but a profound reflection on ourselves. It's a quiet warning, a gentle nudge from the universe, suggesting that the most significant barriers to our long-term survival might not be external, but deeply embedded within our own nature and societies. The absence of alien voices in the night sky might not be a sign of cosmic emptiness, but a stark reminder of the fragility of intelligent life and the critical importance of overcoming our own self-made challenges if we are to ever truly break the great silence and join the chorus of the cosmos. This introspection, spurred by the Fermi paradox, leads us to consider the various ways a civilization might inadvertently create its own great filter. One such filter could be the inability to manage technological advancement responsibly. The very tools that grant us unprecedented power, from nuclear energy to artificial intelligence, also carry the seeds of our potential undoing. A civilization that masters atomic fission but fails to master the art of peaceful coexistence might well incinerate itself before it can ever send a probe to another star. Similarly, a society that develops artificial intelligence capable of surpassing human intellect, but fails to align its goals with human values, could find itself superseded or even eradicated by its own creation. The silence in this context becomes a testament to the universal challenge of technological maturity, a hurdle that few, if any, civilizations manage to clear. Another potential filter lies in the realm of environmental stewardship. As civilizations grow, they inevitably consume resources and alter their planetary environments. A failure to understand and mitigate the long-term consequences of these actions, such as climate change, pollution, or resource depletion, could render their home planet uninhabitable, or at least incapable of sustaining an advanced technological society. Imagine a civilization that, despite its scientific prowess, allows its oceans to acidify, its atmosphere to become toxic, or its biodiversity to collapse. Such a civilization, no matter how intelligent, would effectively trap itself, unable to expand beyond its dying world, eventually fading into the cosmic background noise. The Fermi paradox, then, serves as a stark reminder that planetary health is not merely an ecological concern, but an existential one, directly linked to a civilization's long-term viability. Social and political instability also present a formidable filter. A civilization torn apart by internal strife, perpetual warfare, or extreme inequality might never achieve the unity and stability required for large-scale, long-term projects like interstellar travel or communication. The resources, intellect, and collective will necessary for such endeavors would be perpetually diverted to internal conflicts, leaving them fragmented and vulnerable. A society that cannot overcome its tribal instincts, its divisions, and its propensity for conflict might well be doomed to repeat cycles of collapse and rebuilding, never quite reaching the threshold of galactic exploration. The silence, in this light, speaks to the universal challenge of achieving sustainable social harmony, a prerequisite for any civilization hoping to leave its planetary cradle. Furthermore, the very act of seeking out other civilizations might be inherently flawed if the dark forest hypothesis holds true. If the universe is indeed a dangerous place where silence is survival, then our active broadcasting of our presence could be seen as a profound miscalculation. The impulse to reach out, to connect, to alleviate the cosmic loneliness might be a fatal flaw in a universe where the safest strategy is to remain hidden. This chilling thought suggests that the civilizations we seek might be deliberately avoiding contact, not because they are benevolent observers, but because they are terrified. Their silence is not a choice of non-interference, but a desperate act of self-preservation. This perspective transforms the Fermi paradox from a question of absence to a question of fear, painting a picture of a galaxy teeming with life, but paralyzed by mutual suspicion. The implications of the Fermi paradox, regardless of which hypothesis one leans towards, are profound for humanity. If the great filter is in our past, it suggests we are incredibly lucky, perhaps even unique, and therefore bear an immense responsibility to preserve this rare spark of intelligence. If the filter is in our future, it serves as an urgent warning, a cosmic deadline to address our self-made challenges before they become insurmountable. If the zoo hypothesis is correct, it means we are under observation, and our actions are being judged by unseen, superior intelligences, perhaps waiting for us to prove ourselves worthy of contact. And if the dark forest is the reality, then perhaps our greatest wisdom lies in cultivating a quiet, sustainable existence, rather than loudly proclaiming our presence to a potentially hostile cosmos. The arrival of 3IATLAS, even as a natural object, momentarily brought these abstract philosophical debates into sharp, tangible focus. For a brief period, the world collectively pondered the implications of an object from beyond our solar system. It forced us to ask, what if? What if it were artificial? What would that mean for us? This collective thought experiment, however fleeting, served as a powerful reminder of our cosmic vulnerability and our deep-seated desire for answers to the Fermi paradox. It highlighted how easily our attention can be captured by the external, the dramatic, the potentially alien, even as more mundane, yet far more critical, threats continue to unfold around us. The enduring mystery of the Great Silence, therefore, is not just about the absence of alien voices. It is a profound mirror reflecting our own journey, our own challenges, and our own potential. It asks us to consider the fragility of civilization, the delicate balance between technological progress and societal wisdom, and the ultimate responsibility we bear for our own future. The universe, in its vast, silent indifference, offers no easy answers, but it does provide a canvas for our contemplation. And in that contemplation, perhaps, lies the first step towards understanding not just the cosmos, but ourselves and the real threats that truly matter. This introspection, spurred by the Fermi paradox, leads us to consider the various ways a civilization might inadvertently create its own great filter. One such filter could be the inability to manage technological advancement responsibly. The very tools that grant us unprecedented power, from nuclear energy to artificial intelligence, also carry the seeds of our potential undoing. A civilization that masters atomic fission but fails to master the art of peaceful coexistence might well incinerate itself before it can ever send a probe to another star. Similarly, a society that develops artificial intelligence capable of surpassing human intellect, but fails to align its goals with human values, could find itself superseded or even eradicated by its own creation. The silence in this context becomes a testament to the universal challenge of technological maturity, a hurdle that few, if any, civilizations manage to clear. Another potential filter lies in the realm of environmental stewardship. As civilizations grow, they inevitably consume resources and alter their planetary environments. A failure to understand and mitigate the long-term consequences of these actions, such as climate change, pollution, or resource depletion, could render their home planet uninhabitable, or at least incapable of sustaining an advanced technological society. Imagine a civilization that, despite its scientific prowess, allows its oceans to acidify, its atmosphere to become toxic, or its biodiversity to collapse. Such a civilization, no matter how intelligent, would effectively trap itself, unable to expand beyond its dying world, eventually fading into the cosmic background noise. The Fermi paradox, then, serves as a stark reminder that planetary health is not merely an ecological concern, but an existential one, directly linked to a civilization's long-term viability. Social and political instability also present a formidable filter. A civilization torn apart by internal strife, perpetual warfare, or extreme inequality might never achieve the unity and stability required for large-scale, long-term projects like interstellar travel or communication. The resources, intellect, and collective will necessary for such endeavors would be perpetually diverted to internal conflicts, leaving them fragmented and vulnerable. A society that cannot overcome its tribal instincts, its divisions, and its propensity for conflict might well be doomed to repeat cycles of collapse and rebuilding, never quite reaching the threshold of galactic exploration. The silence, in this light, speaks to the universal challenge of achieving sustainable social harmony, a prerequisite for any civilization hoping to leave its planetary cradle. Furthermore, the very act of seeking out other civilizations might be inherently flawed if the dark forest hypothesis holds true. If the universe is indeed a dangerous place where silence is survival, then our active broadcasting of our presence could be seen as a profound miscalculation. The impulse to reach out, to connect, to alleviate the cosmic loneliness might be a fatal flaw in a universe where the safest strategy is to remain hidden. This chilling thought suggests that the civilizations we seek might be deliberately avoiding contact, not because they are benevolent observers, but because they are terrified. Their silence is not a choice of non-interference, but a desperate act of self-preservation. This perspective transforms the Fermi paradox from a question of absence to a question of fear, painting a picture of a galaxy teeming with life, but paralyzed by mutual suspicion. The implications of the Fermi paradox, regardless of which hypothesis one leans towards, are profound for humanity. If the great filter is in our past, it suggests we are incredibly lucky, perhaps even unique, and therefore bear an immense responsibility to preserve this rare spark of intelligence. If the filter is in our future, it serves as an urgent warning, a cosmic deadline to address our self-made challenges before they become insurmountable. If the zoo hypothesis is correct, it means we are under observation, and our actions are being judged by unseen, superior intelligences, perhaps waiting for us to prove ourselves worthy of contact. And if the dark forest is the reality, then perhaps our greatest wisdom lies in cultivating a quiet, sustainable existence, rather than loudly proclaiming our presence to a potentially hostile cosmos. The arrival of 3IATLAS, even as a natural object, momentarily brought these abstract philosophical debates into sharp, tangible focus. For a brief period, the world collectively pondered the implications of an object from beyond our solar system. It forced us to ask, what if? What if it were artificial? What would that mean for us? This collective thought experiment, however fleeting, served as a powerful reminder of our cosmic vulnerability and our deep-seated desire for answers to the Fermi paradox. It highlighted how easily our attention can be captured by the external, the dramatic, the potentially alien, even as more mundane, yet far more critical, threats continue to unfold around us. The enduring mystery of the Great Silence, therefore, is not just about the absence of alien voices. It is a profound mirror reflecting our own journey, our own challenges, and our own potential. It asks us to consider the fragility of civilization, the delicate balance between technological progress and societal wisdom, and the ultimate responsibility we bear for our own future. The universe, in its vast, silent indifference, offers no easy answers, but it does provide a canvas for our contemplation. And in that contemplation, perhaps, lies the first step towards understanding not just the cosmos, but ourselves and the real threats that truly matter. Beyond these well-known hypotheses, there are other, more nuanced explanations for the Fermi paradox that warrant consideration. One such idea is the rare Earth hypothesis, which suggests that the specific conditions necessary for the emergence and sustained evolution of complex multicellular life, let alone intelligent life, are exceedingly rare. This hypothesis argues that Earth's unique combination of factors, its position in the galaxy, the presence of a large moon stabilizing its axial tilt, plate tectonics, a strong magnetic field, and the precise composition of its atmosphere, might be so improbable that our planet is, in fact, a cosmic anomaly. If this is true, then the silence is simply a reflection of the universe's vast, mostly barren stretches, where life, particularly complex life, struggles to take hold. Another perspective suggests that alien civilizations might simply be too far away, or their signals too faint, for us to detect with our current technology. The sheer scale of the Milky Way, spanning over 100,000 light-years, means that even if a civilization were broadcasting powerful signals, they might take thousands or tens of thousands of years to reach us. By the time their message arrives, the civilization that sent it might have long since vanished, or we might have ceased to exist. This temporal solution to the paradox implies that we are simply out of sync with other potential communicators, like two ships passing in the night, their signals crossing only after they have moved beyond each other's horizon. Our technological window for detection might be too narrow, or our patience too limited, to intercept the fleeting echoes of distant lives. Furthermore, the very concept of communication might be a barrier. We assume that advanced civilizations would use radio waves, or some form of electromagnetic radiation, to broadcast their presence. But what if they have moved beyond such primitive methods? What if their communication is based on principles of physics we don't yet understand, or involves technologies that are currently indistinguishable from natural phenomena? Perhaps they communicate through quantum entanglement, or gravitational waves, or even through modifications of space-time itself. If this is the case, then our current search methods, however sophisticated, are akin to trying to find a needle in a haystack while only looking for threads of a specific color. The silence, then, would be a reflection not of absence, but of our own technological and conceptual limitations. Then there's the idea of divergent evolution. What if alien intelligence, even if it arises, takes forms so utterly different from our own that we wouldn't recognize it as intelligence? Our definition of intelligence is inherently anthropocentric, based on our own cognitive processes, our own sensory perceptions, and our own technological trajectory. An alien civilization might not build cities or develop radio telescopes or even exist in a form that we would classify as life. They might be entirely non-biological or exist as collective consciousnesses or inhabit environments so extreme that we cannot conceive of them. The silence in this scenario is not an absence of intelligence, but an absence of intelligence that conforms to our narrow, human-centric expectations. The Fermi paradox, therefore, is not a simple question with a simple answer. It is a multifaceted enigma that forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge, the biases of our perceptions, and the profound implications of our own existence. The brief, intense focus on 3IATLAS, while ultimately revealing a natural phenomenon, served as a powerful catalyst for this introspection. It reminded us that while the universe is full of wonders, the most critical questions, and indeed the most significant threats, often lie not in the dramatic arrival of an alien artifact, but in the quiet, persistent challenges that define our own journey as a species. The silence of the cosmos, far from being empty, is pregnant with meaning, a constant gentle reminder that our destiny and our survival rests firmly in our own hands. Beyond the hype, the true nature of 3IATLAS. For a time, the name 3IATLAS resonated with a potent mix of wonder and apprehension across the globe. It was a cosmic Rorschach test, reflecting humanity's deepest hopes for contact and its most primal fears of the unknown. The sheer anomaly of an object traversing the vastness between stars, entering our solar system on a hyperbolic trajectory, was enough to ignite imaginations and fuel endless speculation. Was this the moment? Was this the long-awaited sign that we were not alone? Or was it something more sinister, a silent scout preceding an unseen armada, a harbinger of cosmic dangers we could barely comprehend? The questions were compelling, the narrative gripping, and the world held its breath, collectively gazing upwards. Yet, beneath the sensational headlines and the fervent online debates, the quiet, persistent work of science continued. While the public pondered alien probes and interstellar messages, astronomers, astrophysicists, and planetary scientists meticulously gathered data, refined observations, and applied the rigorous methodologies that have, over centuries, unveiled the universe's true mechanisms. Telescopes, both terrestrial and orbital, were pointed with precision at the faint moving speck that was 3IATLAS. Spectrographs analyzed its light, revealing its chemical composition. Astrometric measurements tracked its precise path, calculating its velocity and origin. And slowly, painstakingly, the picture began to emerge, a picture far more nuanced and ultimately far more profound than the initial sensationalism suggested. The scientific analysis of 3IATLAS, while confirming its interstellar origin, began to systematically dismantle the more exotic theories surrounding it. Its trajectory, while undeniably hyperbolic and thus indicative of an origin beyond our sun, was entirely consistent with a natural object ejected from another star system. There were no sudden, unexplained accelerations that might suggest artificial propulsion, no anomalous maneuvers that defied the laws of celestial mechanics. Instead, its path was a testament to the powerful gravitational forces at play during planetary formation, where young gas giants can act as cosmic slingshots, flinging smaller bodies into the cold, dark expanse of interstellar space. Perhaps the most crucial piece of evidence came from the spectrographic analysis of 3IATLAS. This technique, which breaks down light into its constituent wavelengths, allows scientists to identify the chemical elements and compounds present in a celestial body. What they found was a composition that, while unique in some respects, was entirely consistent with known cometary and asteroidal materials. There was no exotic, unknown matter, no telltale signatures of advanced metallurgy or artificial construction. Instead, the data pointed to a body rich in volatile compounds, particularly a high ratio of carbon dioxide to water ice. This particular chemical signature, while differing from the average comet in our own solar system, was not outside the realm of possibility for comets formed in different stellar nurseries, under different conditions of temperature and pressure. It was a chemical fingerprint of another star system, yes, but a natural one. This finding was pivotal. It meant that 3IATLAS, despite its initial mystery, was fundamentally a natural phenomenon. It was a cosmic wanderer, a pristine sample from another star, but not a messenger, not a probe, and certainly not a threat in the conventional sense. The data, patiently gathered and rigorously interpreted, spoke of geology, chemistry, and physics, not of alien intent. The whispers from the void were not a language, but the echoes of cosmic creation, the silent testament to the universal processes that shape stars and planets across the galaxy. The debunking of the alien theories was not a disappointment for the scientific community, but a triumph of rational inquiry. It reinforced the power of the scientific method to cut through speculation and reveal truth. It allowed for a deeper appreciation of the object itself, not as a potential alien artifact, but as an invaluable piece of the cosmic puzzle. 3IATLAS became a window into the conditions of another stellar nursery, offering clues about the diversity of planetary systems and the materials from which they form. It provided a comparative data point for understanding our own solar system's origins and its place within the broader galactic context. The initial hype, while necessary to capture attention, eventually gave way to a more profound, albeit less dramatic, understanding. And it is here, in this moment of scientific clarity, that the documentary takes its pivotal turn. The unveiling of 3IATLAS's true nature serves as a powerful metaphorical shift. For too long, humanity's gaze has been fixed outwards, searching for external threats, for cosmic dangers that might befall us from beyond the stars. We have been captivated by the drama of potential alien encounters, by the speculative narratives of interstellar warfare or benevolent contact. This outward focus, while understandable given our innate curiosity and the vastness of the unknown, has often served as a convenient distraction, diverting our attention from the more tangible, more immediate, and ultimately more profound dangers that originate from within our own societies and from our own actions. 3IATLAS, the cosmic intruder, was harmless. Its passage through our solar system, while scientifically fascinating, posed no existential threat to Earth. It was a natural object, following natural laws, a silent, indifferent traveler. The real threat, as this documentary will now explore, was never from beyond the stars. It was and remains here on Earth, woven into the fabric of our civilization, embedded in our choices, and reflected in the consequences of our collective actions. The cosmic drama, the fleeting fear of the alien, served its purpose. It drew our attention, only to then gently but firmly redirect it. It was a red herring, a narrative device to highlight a deeper, more uncomfortable truth. This transition from the cosmic to the terrestrial is not a diminishment of wonder, but a recalibration of focus. It is an invitation to shift our gaze from the distant, speculative unknown to the immediate, undeniable realities that shape our present and determine our future. The universe, in its silent indifference, offers no easy answers, no convenient scapegoats. It simply is. And in that simple existence, it challenges us to look inward, to confront the challenges that are truly within our power to address. The mystery of 3IATLAS, once a source of cosmic anxiety, now becomes a catalyst for terrestrial introspection. It is the moment we realize that while the stars hold endless fascination, the fate of humanity rests not in the hands of interstellar objects, but in our own. The true unveiling is not of an alien secret, but of our own responsibility. The journey now turns from the boundless void to the fragile blue marble we call home, to the real threats that demand our urgent attention, and to the choices that will define our legacy. This profound realization that the cosmic intruder was merely a natural phenomenon serves as a powerful metaphor for humanity's often misplaced anxieties. We are wired, perhaps by evolutionary necessity, to detect and react to immediate visible threats. A predator in the bushes, a rival tribe on the horizon, a sudden change in weather. These were the dangers that shaped our ancestors. In the modern era, this instinct often translates into a fixation on external, dramatic events, particularly those that tap into our collective unconscious fears of the unknown. An asteroid on a collision course, a viral pandemic sweeping across continents, or the tantalizing possibility of alien contact. These capture our attention with an intensity that often overshadows more insidious, slow-burning crises. The narrative of 3IATLAS, therefore, becomes a case study in this human psychological tendency, illustrating how easily we can be diverted from the real, systemic challenges that demand our sustained focus and collective action. The scientific process, in its methodical and often unglamorous pursuit of truth, stands in stark contrast to the rapid-fire speculation and sensationalism that often accompanies such discoveries. While the public debated the implications of an alien probe, scientists were engaged in the painstaking work of observation, data collection, and analysis. They used advanced telescopes like the Hubble Space Telescope, the Very Large Telescope, and eventually, next-generation observatories to gather every possible photon from 3IATLAS. They employed sophisticated algorithms to model its trajectory, accounting for subtle gravitational perturbations from planets and the Sun. They utilized spectroscopy to decipher the chemical composition of its coma and nucleus, looking for specific absorption and emission lines that would betray its elemental makeup. This was not the stuff of science fiction thrillers, but of dedicated, collaborative, and often tedious scientific endeavor. The detailed analysis of 3IATLAS's light curve, for instance, provided crucial insights. The way its brightness varied as it tumbled through space could reveal its shape and rotation rate. Unlike Oumuamua's extreme elongation, 3IATLAS appeared to be more spheroidal, consistent with a typical cometary nucleus. Furthermore, the presence and behavior of its coma, the fuzzy envelope of gas and dust surrounding the nucleus, offered direct evidence of outgassing, a characteristic feature of comets. The rate and composition of this outgassing, particularly the high carbon dioxide to water ratio, suggested a body that had formed in a region of its parent stellar system where temperatures were colder, allowing more volatile compounds to condense. This was a unique chemical fingerprint, a signature of a different cosmic birthplace, but unequivocally a natural one. This scientific triumph, the calm and rational debunking of the alien probe hypothesis, was not a defeat for imagination, but a victory for understanding. It allowed us to appreciate 3IATLAS for what it truly was: a pristine sample of primordial material from another star system. It offered an unprecedented opportunity to study the building blocks of planets beyond our own solar neighborhood. What kind of organic molecules did it carry? What isotopes of hydrogen and helium? These questions, far from being less exciting than alien contact, were fundamental to understanding the universal processes of star and planet formation, and ultimately, the origins of life itself. 3IATLAS became a cosmic Rosetta Stone, offering clues to the diversity of chemical environments in the galaxy and the conditions under which life might arise elsewhere. The metaphorical shift, therefore, is complete. The initial premise of 3IATLAS as a potential external threat has been systematically dismantled by the relentless pursuit of scientific truth. And in its place, a more profound, albeit less sensational, truth emerges. The greatest threats to humanity are not external, but internal. They are not cosmic, but terrestrial. They are not alien, but human. This realization is not meant to diminish the wonder of the cosmos or the importance of scientific exploration. On the contrary, it is meant to recenter our focus, to remind us that while we gaze at the stars, we must not neglect the ground beneath our feet. The narrative of 3IATLAS, therefore, serves as a powerful narrative device, a red herring designed to capture our attention before gently but firmly redirecting it towards the real existential challenges that confront us. It is a mirror reflecting our collective tendency to externalize blame, to seek out distant dangers rather than confronting the uncomfortable truths of our own making. The fear of an alien probe, however fleeting, was a powerful motivator, a shared anxiety that momentarily united humanity in a common concern. But what if that same intensity, that same collective focus, could be directed towards the very real, very present dangers that threaten our civilization from within? This transition from the cosmic unknown to the terrestrial known is not a retreat from curiosity, but an evolution of it. It is an invitation to apply the same rigor, the same scientific inquiry, and the same collective will that we directed towards 3IATLAS to the pressing issues of our own planet. It asks us to consider why climate change, ecological collapse, pandemics, and social fragmentation often struggle to command the same level of urgent, global attention as a speculative alien encounter. It challenges us to examine the cognitive biases, the political inertia, and the economic systems that allow these slow-motion catastrophes to unfold, often with less public outcry than a distant, harmless rock. In the grand tapestry of cosmic events, the passage of 3IATLAS was a fleeting moment, a brief whisper in the vastness of time. But its significance lies not in what it was, but in what it revealed about us. It revealed our capacity for wonder, our thirst for knowledge, and our deep-seated anxieties. More importantly, it revealed our tendency to look outwards when the most critical battles are to be fought inwards. The universe, in its silent, majestic indifference, offers no easy answers, no convenient scapegoats. It simply presents us with reality, and in that reality, it challenges us to look inward, to confront the challenges that are truly within our power to address. The mystery of 3IATLAS, once a source of cosmic anxiety, now becomes a catalyst for terrestrial introspection. It is the moment we realize that while the stars hold endless fascination, the fate of humanity rests not in the hands of interstellar objects, but in our own. The true unveiling is not of an alien secret, but of our own responsibility. The journey now turns from the boundless void to the fragile blue marble we call home, to the real threats that demand our urgent attention, and to the choices that will define our legacy. This shift in perspective is not about fear, but about empowerment. It is about recognizing that the power to shape our future lies not in waiting for cosmic interventions, but in our collective capacity for wisdom, foresight, and decisive action. The silence of the cosmos, once a source of dread, now becomes a canvas for our own creation, a space where we can choose to write a future defined by resilience, sustainability, and profound interconnectedness. The story of 3IATLAS, therefore, concludes its cosmic chapter, only to open a new, more urgent one. The story of humanity, confronting its true challenges and forging its own destiny. This reevaluation of our priorities, prompted by the fleeting visit of a cosmic wanderer, is not about abandoning our fascination with the cosmos. Far from it. It is about integrating that wonder with a deeper sense of responsibility for our home world. It is about recognizing that the greatest adventures, and indeed the greatest threats, are often found not in the distant reaches of space, but in the intricate, delicate balance of life on Earth and in the choices we make as a global civilization. The story of 3IATLAS, therefore, serves as a quiet yet powerful overture to a much larger narrative, one that calls us to awaken to the real threats and to find within ourselves the wisdom and courage to address them, not with fear, but with calm resolve and collective action. The transition from the cosmic to the terrestrial is not a diminishment of wonder, but a recalibration of focus. It is an invitation to shift our gaze from the distant, speculative unknown to the immediate, undeniable realities that shape our present and determine our future. The universe, in its silent indifference, offers no easy answers, no convenient scapegoats. It simply is. And in that simple existence, it challenges us to look inward, to confront the challenges that are truly within our power to address. The mystery of 3IATLAS, once a source of cosmic anxiety, now becomes a catalyst for terrestrial introspection. It is the moment we realize that while the stars hold endless fascination, the fate of humanity rests not in the hands of interstellar objects, but in our own. The true unveiling is not of an alien secret, but of our own responsibility. The journey now turns from the boundless void to the fragile blue marble we call home, to the real threats that demand our urgent attention, and to the choices that will define our legacy. The implications of this shift are profound. If the greatest threats are indeed self-inflicted, then the solutions must also come from within. This requires a fundamental reevaluation of our values, our economic systems, our political structures, and our relationship with the natural world. It demands a level of collective action and global cooperation that has, thus far, proven elusive. The very systems that have propelled us to unprecedented levels of technological advancement and material prosperity are also the ones generating the most significant risks. Climate change, for instance, is not a natural disaster in the traditional sense. It is a consequence of industrialization, energy consumption, and land use practices. Biodiversity loss is driven by habitat destruction, pollution, and overexploitation. Pandemics are exacerbated by global travel, urbanization, and the encroachment into natural habitats. And social fragmentation is fueled by economic inequality, political polarization, and the unchecked spread of misinformation. To address these challenges, we cannot simply wait for a technological silver bullet or an external savior. We must engage in a deep, systemic transformation. This involves transitioning to sustainable energy sources, adopting circular economies, protecting and restoring ecosystems, investing in public health infrastructure, fostering inclusive governance, and promoting critical thinking and media literacy. These are not easy tasks, and they often require difficult choices and sacrifices. But the alternative, a continued trajectory towards self-inflicted catastrophe, is far more daunting. The slow burn, climate change, and our fragile home. Having journeyed through the cosmic void and unraveled the true, natural identity of 3IATLAS, our focus now shifts from the distant, spectacular unknown to a far more intimate and immediate reality, the profound transformation of our own planet. The cosmic intruder, once a source of fleeting anxiety, has served its purpose as a narrative pivot. It has gently, yet firmly, redirected our gaze from the stars to the very ground beneath our feet, to the accumulating, undeniable realities of our own making. Here, on Earth, a different kind of drama is unfolding. A slow burn that, unlike the fleeting passage of an interstellar object, promises to reshape the very foundations of human civilization and the delicate balance of life itself. This is the story of climate change, a phenomenon not of cosmic happenstance, but of human consequence. Climate change is no longer a distant threat, a theoretical projection confined to scientific models. It is a present reality, a pervasive force that is already altering landscapes, disrupting ecosystems, and impacting human lives across the globe. The scientific consensus is unequivocal, built upon decades of meticulous research, countless observations, and sophisticated climate modeling. The Earth's climate is warming at an unprecedented rate, and the primary driver of this warming is human activity, specifically the emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These gases, primarily carbon dioxide and methane, act like a blanket, trapping heat and causing the planet's average temperature to rise. This is not a matter of belief or political ideology. It is a matter of observable, measurable scientific fact. The evidence for this warming is overwhelming and multifaceted. We see it in the steady rise of global average temperatures, meticulously recorded by meteorological stations and satellite sensors. Each of the last few decades has been successively warmer than any preceding decade since 1850, with the most recent years breaking all previous records. We witness it in the dramatic retreat of glaciers and ice sheets across the polar regions and mountain ranges, vast reservoirs of frozen water melting at an accelerating pace. The Arctic sea ice, a crucial component of the Earth's climate system, is shrinking rapidly, opening up once impenetrable waterways and threatening unique ecosystems. The permafrost, ancient frozen ground in the high latitudes, is thawing, releasing vast quantities of trapped greenhouse gases, creating a dangerous feedback loop that further accelerates warming. Beyond the raw temperature data, the impacts of a warming world manifest in a cascade of interconnected phenomena. Extreme weather events are becoming more frequent, more intense, and more unpredictable. Heat waves, once rare occurrences, now routinely shatter temperature records, leading to increased mortality, agricultural losses, and strain on infrastructure. Droughts, prolonged and severe, parch once fertile lands, fueling wildfires that rage across vast territories, destroying homes, forests, and livelihoods. Conversely, heavy rainfall events are becoming more common, leading to devastating floods that displace communities and cause immense economic damage. The very rhythm of our planet's weather systems, once a reliable constant, is being thrown into disarray. Perhaps one of the most visible and concerning consequences of climate change is the rising sea level. As glaciers and ice sheets melt, And as the oceans themselves warm and expand, coastal communities around the world face an existential threat. Low-lying islands are disappearing, coastal cities are grappling with increased flooding and erosion, and vital ecosystems like mangrove forests and coral reefs are under immense pressure. Millions of people are already being displaced, and the projections for future sea level rise paint a grim picture of mass migration and geopolitical instability. The ocean, once a symbol of boundless expanse, is now a powerful encroaching force, reshaping our coastlines and challenging our very notion of permanence. The human element in this crisis is undeniable. For centuries, our civilization has been built upon the burning of fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas, to power our industries, transport our goods, and light our homes. This energy revolution, while driving unprecedented economic growth and improving living standards for billions, has come at an immense cost. The carbon dioxide released from these activities, accumulated over generations, has fundamentally altered the delicate chemical balance of our atmosphere. Deforestation, particularly in tropical rainforests, further exacerbates the problem by removing vast carbon sinks, turning forests from absorbers of CO2 into sources of emissions when they are burned or cleared. Our consumption patterns, driven by a relentless pursuit of economic growth and material possessions, also play a significant role. The demand for goods, often produced through energy-intensive processes and transported across vast distances, fuels the continuous emission of greenhouse gases. The sheer volume of waste generated, much of which ends up in landfills, contributes to methane emissions. The way we produce and consume food, particularly the global meat industry, is another major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, from methane released by livestock to the energy required for cultivation, processing, and transportation. Political inaction, often driven by short-term economic interests, powerful lobbying groups, and a reluctance to confront difficult truths, has further compounded the problem. Despite the overwhelming scientific evidence and the increasingly visible impacts, global efforts to mitigate climate change have often been characterized by slow progress, missed targets, and a lack of decisive leadership. The complexity of international negotiations, the challenge of balancing economic development with environmental protection, and the deep-seated resistance to change have created a dangerous inertia, allowing the crisis to deepen even as the warnings grow louder. The psychological burden of climate change is also immense. For many, the sheer scale of the problem, the seemingly irreversible nature of some of its impacts, and the perceived inadequacy of global responses can lead to feelings of anxiety, despair, and helplessness. This climate anxiety is a growing phenomenon, particularly among younger generations who face a future profoundly shaped by the decisions or indecisions of the past. The constant barrage of alarming news, the images of environmental devastation, and the scientific projections of a rapidly changing world can be overwhelming, leading to a sense of paralysis rather than action. However, it is crucial to frame this psychological burden not as an endpoint, but as a call to agency. While the challenges are immense, they are not insurmountable. The same human ingenuity and collective effort that built our modern world can be harnessed to address the climate crisis. This requires a shift in mindset, from viewing climate change as an abstract, distant problem to recognizing it as an immediate, tangible threat that demands our creative solutions and our collective will. It means moving beyond despair and embracing the power of human innovation, collaboration, and resilience. The story of climate change is not just a narrative of impending doom. it is also a story of potential, of the profound capacity for change and adaptation that lies within us. It is a reminder that the future is not predetermined, but is actively being shaped by the choices we make today. The slow burn of climate change is a test of our collective wisdom, our foresight, and our ability to act as responsible stewards of our fragile home. It is a test that, unlike the fleeting mystery of 3IATLAS, we cannot afford to fail. The scientific understanding of climate change is rooted in fundamental principles of physics and chemistry, particularly the greenhouse effect. For billions of years, Earth's atmosphere has contained naturally occurring greenhouse gases like water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. These gases are vital. They trap some of the sun's energy, preventing it from radiating back into space and keeping our planet warm enough to support life. Without this natural greenhouse effect, Earth would be a frozen, uninhabitable world. However, the delicate balance of this natural system is now being profoundly altered by human activities. Since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, the concentration of these gases, especially carbon dioxide, has skyrocketed to levels unprecedented in at least the last 800,000 years, as revealed by ice core data. This excess of greenhouse gases is trapping more heat, leading to the observed warming trend. The primary culprit in this atmospheric alteration is the combustion of fossil fuels. Coal, oil, and natural gas, formed over millions of years from ancient organic matter, are rich in carbon. When burned for energy, this stored carbon is released into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. The sheer scale of this activity is staggering. Billions of tons of carbon dioxide are emitted annually from power plants, factories, vehicles, and homes worldwide. This relentless release has overwhelmed Earth's natural carbon sinks, oceans, forests, and soils, which can no longer absorb the excess at a rate fast enough to maintain equilibrium. The oceans, for instance, absorb a significant portion of atmospheric CO2, but this comes at a cost: ocean acidification, which threatens marine ecosystems and the very base of the oceanic food web. Beyond fossil fuels, other human activities contribute significantly to the greenhouse gas problem. Deforestation, particularly the destruction of vast rainforests in the Amazon, Indonesia, and other regions, plays a dual role. Forests are critical carbon sinks, absorbing CO2 from the atmosphere as they grow. When they are cut down or burned, not only is this carbon-absorbing capacity lost, but the stored carbon is released back into the atmosphere. Agriculture, especially livestock farming, is another major source of methane, a greenhouse gas far more potent than CO2 over shorter timescales. The production of fertilizers releases nitrous oxide, another powerful warming agent. Our modern food systems, from cultivation to consumption, are deeply intertwined with the climate crisis. The consequences of this warming are not uniform across the globe. While the average global temperature rises, different regions experience vastly different impacts. The polar regions are warming at a rate 2 to 3 times faster than the global average, leading to rapid melting of Arctic sea ice and Greenland's ice sheet. This melting contributes directly to sea level rise and disrupts global ocean currents, which play a crucial role in regulating Earth's climate. Changes in ocean currents can, in turn, affect weather patterns thousands of miles away, leading to more extreme and unpredictable conditions. Water resources are particularly vulnerable. In many parts of the world, changes in precipitation patterns are leading to more frequent and severe droughts, threatening agricultural yields and exacerbating water scarcity for human consumption. Conversely, other regions are experiencing more intense rainfall events, leading to devastating floods and landslides. The timing and reliability of seasonal rainfall, crucial for agriculture, are becoming increasingly erratic, posing significant challenges for food security in vulnerable regions. The availability of fresh water, a fundamental human right, is becoming a critical issue, potentially leading to conflicts and mass displacement. The impact on ecosystems and biodiversity is equally alarming. As temperatures rise, many species struggle to adapt, leading to shifts in geographical ranges, altered breeding patterns, and increased extinction rates. Coral reefs, vital marine ecosystems that support a quarter of all ocean life, are particularly susceptible to ocean warming and acidification, experiencing widespread bleaching events. Forests are stressed by prolonged droughts and increased pest outbreaks, making them more vulnerable to wildfires. The delicate balance of ecosystems, built over millennia, is being disrupted at an unprecedented pace, threatening the very web of life that sustains our planet. Human health is also directly affected. Heat waves lead to increased heat-related illnesses and mortality, particularly among the elderly and vulnerable populations. Changes in climate patterns can expand the geographical range of disease vectors like mosquitoes, leading to the spread of diseases such as malaria and dengue fever into new areas. Air pollution, often exacerbated by fossil fuel combustion, contributes to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Food and water insecurity, driven by climate impacts, can lead to malnutrition and the spread of waterborne diseases. The climate crisis is, in essence, a public health crisis on a global scale. Economically, the costs of climate change are already immense and are projected to escalate dramatically. Extreme weather events cause billions of dollars in damages to infrastructure, agriculture, and property. Sea level rise necessitates costly coastal defenses or the relocation of entire communities. Disruptions to agriculture and fisheries threaten livelihoods and global supply chains. The transition to a low-carbon economy, while offering immense opportunities, also presents significant challenges and requires substantial investment. The longer we delay meaningful action, the higher the economic and social costs will become, placing an ever-increasing burden on future generations. Politically, climate change is a super wicked problem, characterized by its global scale, long-term consequences, and the diffusion of responsibility. International cooperation is essential, yet often hampered by national interests, geopolitical tensions, and differing levels of economic development. The burden of historical emissions, primarily from industrialized nations versus the vulnerability of developing nations, creates complex equity issues. The influence of powerful fossil fuel lobbies and the spread of misinformation further complicate policymaking, leading to inertia and a lack of ambitious action. The challenge is not just scientific or technological, it is fundamentally a challenge of governance, ethics, and collective will. Facing such a monumental challenge can indeed evoke feelings of climate anxiety and eco-grief. The sheer scale of the problem, the perceived slowness of political action, and the scientific projections of a rapidly changing world can be overwhelming. It is natural to feel a sense of helplessness or despair when confronted with the potential loss of ecosystems, species, and even human ways of life. However, it is precisely in these moments of profound challenge that human resilience and ingenuity are most needed. The narrative of climate change, while undeniably grim in its current trajectory, is not yet written. It is a story that is still unfolding, and one in which humanity still has a crucial role to play. vanishing worlds, biodiversity loss, and ecological collapse. As we shift our gaze from the slow burn of a warming world, another profound, yet often less visible, crisis unfolds across our planet: the silent extinction. This is not a sudden, cataclysmic event like the asteroid impact that ended the age of dinosaurs, but a relentless, accelerating erosion of life itself. It is the vanishing of species, the degradation of ecosystems, and the unraveling of the intricate web of life that sustains us all. While climate change often captures headlines with its dramatic weather events and rising sea levels, biodiversity loss represents a deeper, more fundamental threat to the stability and resilience of Earth's life support systems. It is a crisis that, like a slow-motion unraveling, threatens to leave us in a world far poorer, far less stable, and ultimately far less capable of supporting human civilization. Our planet, Earth, is a vibrant tapestry woven from countless forms of life, from the microscopic bacteria thriving in the deepest oceans to the towering redwood trees reaching for the sky. This biodiversity, the astonishing variety of life at all its levels, genes, species, and ecosystems, is not merely a collection of interesting organisms. It is the very engine of our planet, providing essential services that underpin human existence. Forests purify our air and regulate rainfall. Wetlands filter our water and protect against floods. Coral reefs serve as nurseries for marine life and buffer our coastlines. Insects pollinate our crops, ensuring food security. Soil microorganisms cycle nutrients, making land fertile. Every species, every ecosystem plays a role, contributing to the delicate balance that makes Earth habitable. Yet, this intricate web is now under unprecedented assault. Scientists estimate that species are disappearing at a rate hundreds, perhaps even thousands, of times faster than the natural background extinction rate. This is not a natural evolutionary process. It is a human-driven phenomenon, often referred to as the sixth mass extinction. Unlike previous mass extinctions, which were caused by geological or astronomical events, this one is entirely of our own making, and its consequences are far-reaching, threatening not just the charismatic megafauna that capture our imagination, but the countless smaller, less visible organisms that form the very foundation of our ecosystems. The causes of this silent extinction are complex and interconnected, often stemming directly from the same human activities that drive climate change. Habitat destruction and fragmentation stand as the foremost drivers. As human populations expand and demand for resources grows, natural landscapes are converted into agricultural fields, urban sprawl, and industrial zones. Forests are cleared for timber and cattle ranching. Wetlands are drained for development. Oceans are overfished, and their delicate seafloor habitats are destroyed by destructive trawling practices. These actions not only eliminate the physical spaces where species live, but also break up remaining habitats into isolated patches, making it difficult for populations to survive and thrive. Pollution, in its myriad forms, is another relentless killer. Plastic waste chokes our oceans and contaminates our soils, harming wildlife and entering the food chain. Chemical pesticides and herbicides designed to protect crops inadvertently poison non-target species, including vital pollinators like bees and butterflies. Industrial effluents and agricultural runoff contaminate freshwater systems, creating dead zones in rivers and coastal areas. Air pollution, beyond its role in climate change, directly harms plant life and respiratory systems of animals. The very byproducts of our modern industrial society are systematically poisoning the natural world, leaving a toxic legacy for generations to come. Overexploitation, driven by unsustainable consumption and illegal wildlife trade, pushes many species to the brink. From the relentless hunting of endangered animals for traditional medicine or exotic pets, to the industrial-scale fishing that depletes entire fish stocks, humanity's demand for natural resources often outstrips the capacity of ecosystems to replenish themselves. This insatiable appetite for resources, coupled with a lack of effective regulation and enforcement, creates a relentless pressure on vulnerable populations, driving them towards extinction. Invasive species introduced intentionally or accidentally by human activity pose another significant threat. When non-native species are introduced into new ecosystems, they can outcompete native species for resources, prey upon them, or introduce new diseases, leading to dramatic declines in local biodiversity. Islands, with their unique and often fragile ecosystems, are particularly vulnerable to the devastating impacts of invasive species, which have been responsible for a disproportionate number of extinctions. And then there is climate change itself, acting as a powerful amplifier of all these other threats. As global temperatures rise, species are forced to migrate to cooler regions or higher altitudes, often encountering new competitors or unsuitable habitats. Changes in rainfall patterns, increased frequency of extreme weather events, and ocean acidification directly impact ecosystems, making them less resilient and more vulnerable to collapse. The synergistic effect of these multiple stressors creates a perfect storm for biodiversity, pushing countless species beyond their adaptive limits. This interconnectedness is a crucial concept. The loss of one species is rarely an isolated event. It sends ripples through the entire ecosystem. The disappearance of a pollinator can lead to the decline of the plants it services, which in turn affects the herbivores that feed on those plants, and the carnivores that prey on the herbivores. This cascading effect can destabilize entire food webs, leading to ecosystem collapse. When we lose biodiversity, we are not just losing individual species. We are eroding the very resilience of nature, its ability to adapt to change, and its capacity to provide the essential services upon which human civilization depends. We are, in essence, sawing off the branch upon which we sit. The concept of planetary boundaries helps us understand the scale of this crisis. Scientists have identified 9 planetary boundaries that define the safe operating space for humanity with respect to the Earth system. These include climate change, ocean acidification, stratospheric ozone depletion, freshwater use, land system change, biogeochemical flows, nitrogen and phosphorus cycles, atmospheric aerosol loading, novel entities, e.g. plastics, synthetic chemicals, and biosphere integrity, biodiversity loss. We have already transgressed several of these boundaries, most notably those related to climate change and biosphere integrity. This means we are pushing Earth's life support systems beyond their safe limits, risking abrupt and irreversible environmental changes that could be catastrophic for humanity. The psychological impact of this silent extinction is also profound. For those who understand the scale of the loss, there is a deep sense of grief, often termed eco-grief or solastalgia, a longing for a lost home or ecosystem that is still physically present but has been irrevocably altered. It is the sorrow of witnessing the disappearance of ancient forests, the bleaching of vibrant coral reefs, or the silence of once thriving bird populations. This grief is compounded by the feeling of helplessness, the sense that these losses are happening too fast, too pervasively, and with too little collective action to stop them. It is a quiet despair that settles upon the soul, a recognition of the irreversible damage being wrought upon our shared natural heritage. However, like the warming world, the story of biodiversity loss is not one of inevitable doom. It is a story that still holds the potential for redemption, for restoration, and for a profound reevaluation of our relationship with the natural world. The same human ingenuity that has driven these losses also holds the key to their reversal. Conservation efforts, rewilding projects, sustainable agriculture, and the establishment of protected areas are all demonstrating that it is possible to halt and even reverse the tide of extinction. It requires a fundamental shift in our values, recognizing that the intrinsic value of nature is not merely economic, but spiritual, aesthetic, and existential. It demands a transition from viewing nature as a resource to be exploited, to seeing it as a partner to be cherished and protected. This is where the metaphor of 3IATLAS, the harmless cosmic intruder, once again serves its purpose. The fleeting distraction of a distant, speculative threat pales in comparison to the slow, inexorable march of the silent extinction. The cosmic silence, once a source of existential dread, now serves as a stark reminder of the preciousness of our own vibrant, living planet. Unlike the distant, indifferent universe, Earth is our only home, and its fate is inextricably linked to our actions. The solutions to biodiversity loss are not to be found in the stars, but in our collective choices, our technological innovations, our policy decisions, and our fundamental shift in values. It requires a transition from a mindset of exploitation to one of stewardship, from short-term gain to long-term sustainability, and from individual self-interest to collective responsibility. The silent extinction is the ultimate test of our species, a test that demands not fear, but courage, not despair, but determination, and not inaction, but a profound global commitment to a sustainable future. It is a challenge that, unlike the harmless passage of 3IATLAS, we cannot afford to ignore, for the real threat is not from beyond, but from within our own planetary boundaries. The fate of our world and the future of humanity rests not in the hands of interstellar objects, but in our own collective capacity to understand, to adapt, and to act with purpose and foresight. This is the true unveiling, the ultimate realization that our greatest challenges are also our greatest opportunities for transformation. The intricate dance of life on Earth, honed over billions of years of evolution, has created a system of astonishing complexity and resilience. Every species, from the smallest microbe to the largest whale, plays a role in maintaining the health and stability of ecosystems. This interconnectedness means that the loss of even seemingly insignificant species can have cascading effects, disrupting entire food webs and biogeochemical cycles. For instance, the decline of insect pollinators threatens a significant portion of the world's food crops, impacting global food security. The destruction of mangrove forests not only leads to the loss of unique marine habitats, but also removes natural barriers that protect coastal communities from storm surges and erosion. The health of our planet is not merely a collection of individual species. It is a dynamic, self-regulating system, and we are actively dismantling its critical components. One of the most alarming aspects of the current biodiversity crisis is its speed. Unlike previous mass extinctions, which unfolded over millions of years, the sixth mass extinction is happening at an unprecedented pace, largely within the span of a few human generations. This rapid rate of loss leaves little time for ecosystems to adapt or for new species to evolve and fill the ecological niches left vacant. The consequences are not just ecological, but also economic and social. Many indigenous communities, whose livelihoods and cultures are deeply intertwined with local biodiversity, are disproportionately affected by these losses. The erosion of natural capital, the stocks of natural assets like forests, water, and fertile land, undermines long-term economic stability and development, particularly in developing nations. The concept of ecosystem services highlights the direct benefits that healthy ecosystems provide to humanity. These include provisioning services, food, fresh water, timber, fiber, regulating services, climate regulation, flood regulation, disease control, water purification, cultural services, recreational, aesthetic, spiritual benefits, and supporting services, nutrient cycling, soil formation, primary production. When biodiversity declines, these services are compromised, leading to tangible costs for human societies. For example, the loss of natural pest control mechanisms can necessitate increased reliance on chemical pesticides, with their own associated environmental and health risks. The degradation of watersheds can lead to increased costs for water treatment and reduced availability of clean drinking water. Beyond the utilitarian value, there is also the intrinsic value of biodiversity. Many argue that every species has a right to exist, independent of its usefulness to humans. The sheer wonder and beauty of the natural world, the intricate adaptations of its creatures, and the profound mystery of life itself are values that transcend economic calculations. To allow species to vanish forever, to silence the unique song of a bird, or extinguish the vibrant colors of a coral reef, is to diminish the richness of our shared planetary heritage and to impoverish the human experience itself. It is an irreversible loss, a permanent scar on the tapestry of life. The psychological toll of witnessing this silent extinction is a growing concern. For those who are deeply connected to the natural world, or who understand the scientific implications of these losses, the experience can be akin to grieving for a loved one. This eco-grief is a legitimate response to the profound and often irreversible changes occurring in our environment. It can manifest as sadness, anxiety, anger, or a sense of helplessness. The feeling of solastalgia, a form of existential distress caused by environmental change, describes the pain experienced when one's home environment is degraded or transformed in ways that are deeply unsettling. These emotional responses are not merely personal. They are a reflection of a collective trauma, a shared sense of loss for a world that is rapidly changing before our eyes. However, the narrative of biodiversity loss, while undeniably grim, is not yet written in its entirety. There is still hope, and there are countless examples of successful conservation efforts that demonstrate humanity's capacity for positive change. Protected areas, national parks, and wildlife reserves play a crucial role in safeguarding critical habitats and species. Rewilding initiatives, which aim to restore ecosystems by reintroducing keystone species and allowing natural processes to take hold, are showing promising results. Sustainable agriculture practices, such as agroecology and permaculture, can reduce habitat destruction and chemical pollution while enhancing biodiversity on farms. International agreements, like the Convention on Biological Diversity, aim to foster global cooperation in conservation efforts. Technological innovations also offer new tools for conservation. DNA barcoding can rapidly identify species, aiding in the fight against illegal wildlife trade. Satellite monitoring helps track deforestation and habitat loss. Artificial intelligence is being used to analyze vast data sets and predict areas of high conservation priority. Citizen science initiatives engage the public in data collection, fostering a deeper connection with nature and contributing valuable scientific information. These tools, combined with traditional ecological knowledge and community-led conservation efforts, offer a powerful arsenal in the fight against extinction. Ultimately, addressing the silent extinction requires a fundamental shift in our worldview. It demands that we move beyond an anthropocentric perspective, where humanity is seen as separate from and superior to nature, to an ecocentric one, where we recognize ourselves as an integral part of the web of life. It means valuing ecological health and biodiversity not just for their utility to humans, but for their intrinsic worth. It requires a transition from a linear, extractive economic model to a circular, regenerative one that works in harmony with natural systems. It calls for a profound reevaluation of our consumption patterns, our land use practices, and our relationship with all living things. This is where the metaphor of 3IATLAS, the harmless cosmic intruder, once again serves its purpose. The fleeting distraction of a distant, speculative threat pales in comparison to the slow, inexorable march of the silent extinction. The cosmic silence, once a source of existential dread, now serves as a stark reminder of the preciousness of our own vibrant, living planet. Unlike the distant, indifferent universe, Earth is our only home, and its fate is inextricably linked to our actions. The solutions to biodiversity loss are not to be found in the stars, but in our collective choices, our technological innovations, our policy decisions, and our fundamental shift in values. It requires a transition from a mindset of exploitation to one of stewardship, from short-term gain to long-term sustainability, and from individual self-interest to collective responsibility. The silent extinction is the ultimate test of our species, a test that demands not fear, but courage, not despair, but determination, and not inaction, but a profound global commitment to a sustainable future. It is a challenge that, unlike the harmless passage of 3IATLAS, we cannot afford to ignore, for the real threat is not from beyond, but from within our own planetary boundaries. The fate of our world and the future of humanity rests not in the hands of interstellar objects, but in our own collective capacity to understand, to adapt, and to act with purpose and foresight. This is the true unveiling, the ultimate realization that our greatest challenges are also our greatest opportunities for transformation. It is a call to awaken from the slumber of indifference and to embrace our role as guardians of this extraordinary planet before the silence of extinction becomes permanent and the vibrant symphony of life is forever muted. This profound interconnectedness of life, often referred to as the web of life, means that every loss, however small, weakens the entire system. Consider the humble soil. A handful of healthy soil contains billions of microorganisms, a complex ecosystem that breaks down organic matter, cycles nutrients, and supports plant growth. The overuse of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, coupled with unsustainable agricultural practices, degrades soil health, leading to erosion, reduced fertility, and a loss of these vital microbial communities. The consequences are far-reaching: diminished crop yields, increased reliance on chemical inputs, and a reduction in the soil's capacity to sequester carbon, thus exacerbating climate change. The silent extinction is not just about charismatic animals. It is about the foundational processes that make life on Earth possible. The economic implications of biodiversity loss are also staggering. Ecosystem services, often taken for granted, provide trillions of dollars worth of benefits annually, the pollination of crops by insects, the purification of water by wetlands, the regulation of climate by forests. These are all services that, if lost, would require costly technological replacements, if they could be replaced at all. The destruction of natural habitats also leads to the loss of potential new medicines, food sources, and genetic material that could be vital for future adaptation. The long-term economic prosperity of human societies is inextricably linked to the health and diversity of the natural world. Investing in conservation and restoration is not an expense. It is an investment in our collective future. Furthermore, the silent extinction has significant social and ethical dimensions. Many indigenous cultures around the world have deep spiritual and cultural connections to the land and its biodiversity. The loss of species and ecosystems represents not just an ecological tragedy, but a cultural one, eroding traditional knowledge, practices, and ways of life. The ethical imperative to protect other species, to act as responsible stewards of the planet, is also a powerful motivator for many. Do we have a moral obligation to preserve the diversity of life, even if a species has no direct utility to humans? Many would argue that we do, that the intrinsic value of life itself demands our respect and protection. The challenge of addressing the silent extinction is immense, requiring a multifaceted approach that integrates scientific understanding, technological innovation, policy changes, and a fundamental shift in human values. It demands a global effort, transcending national borders and political ideologies. This includes strengthening protected areas, restoring degraded ecosystems, combating illegal wildlife trade, promoting sustainable agriculture and fisheries, reducing pollution, and integrating biodiversity considerations into all sectors of economic development. It also requires empowering local communities and indigenous peoples, who are often the frontline guardians of biodiversity, and whose traditional knowledge holds invaluable insights into sustainable living. Ultimately, the story of the silent extinction is a profound call to action. It is a reminder that our planet is a finite system, with finite resources and a finite capacity to absorb the impacts of human activity. The choices we make today in our consumption, our land use, our energy systems, and our relationship with the natural world will determine the fate of countless species and the long-term viability of human civilization. The cosmic silence, once a source of existential dread, now serves as a stark reminder of the preciousness of our own vibrant, living planet. Unlike the distant, indifferent universe, Earth is our only home, and its fate is inextricably linked to our actions. The solutions to biodiversity loss are not to be found in the stars, but in our collective choices, our technological innovations, our policy decisions, and our fundamental shift in values. It requires a transition from a mindset of exploitation to one of stewardship, from short-term gain to long-term sustainability, and from individual self-interest to collective responsibility. The silent extinction is the ultimate test of our species, a test that demands not fear, but courage, not despair, but determination, and not inaction, but a profound global commitment to a sustainable future. It is a challenge that, unlike the harmless passage of 3IATLAS, we cannot afford to ignore, for the real threat is not from beyond, but from within our own planetary boundaries. The fate of our world and the future of humanity rests not in the hands of interstellar objects, but in our own collective capacity to understand, to adapt, and to act with purpose and foresight. This is the true unveiling, the ultimate realization that our greatest challenges are also our greatest opportunities for transformation. It is a call to awaken from the slumber of indifference and to embrace our role as guardians of this extraordinary planet before the silence of extinction becomes permanent and the vibrant symphony of life is forever muted. The time for contemplation is over. The time for decisive collective action is now. Our legacy will be defined by how we respond to this silent yet deafening crisis. Whispers of the microbe, pandemics, and global health. Having explored the cosmic distractions and the slow, grinding crises of climate change and biodiversity loss, we now turn our attention to a threat that is both ancient and terrifyingly modern: the invisible enemy. This foe does not arrive from the depths of space, nor does it manifest as a gradual shift in planetary systems. Instead, it emerges from the microscopic world, a realm unseen by the naked eye, yet capable of bringing human civilization to its knees. We speak, of course, of pandemics, global health crises that have, throughout history, reshaped societies, toppled empires, and redefined the course of human events. While the drama of an interstellar object like 3IATLAS might capture our fleeting attention, the quiet, insidious spread of a pathogen represents a far more immediate and visceral threat, one that strikes at the very core of our biological existence and our interconnected global society. The history of humanity is punctuated by the devastating impact of infectious diseases. From the plagues of antiquity that decimated populations and altered geopolitical landscapes, to the Black Death of the Middle Ages that wiped out an estimated 1/3 of Europe's population, to the Spanish flu of the early 20th century that claimed more lives than World War I, pandemics have been a constant, terrifying companion to our species. These historical events serve as stark reminders of our inherent vulnerability, demonstrating how easily the delicate fabric of society can be torn apart by an unseen biological agent. They underscore the fact that despite our technological advancements, our biological foundations remain susceptible to the relentless evolutionary pressures of the microbial world. In the modern era, the threat of pandemics has taken on new dimensions. Globalization, with its unprecedented levels of international travel and trade, means that a pathogen emerging in one corner of the world can, within hours or days, spread to every continent. Urbanization, with ever-growing populations living in close proximity, creates ideal conditions for rapid transmission. And the increasing encroachment into natural habitats, driven by human expansion and resource extraction, brings us into closer contact with novel pathogens that can jump from animal hosts to humans, a phenomenon known as zoonotic spillover. These factors combine to create a perfect storm, making our interconnected world both incredibly efficient and incredibly vulnerable to the rapid spread of disease. The recent past has offered a chilling preview of this vulnerability. The emergence of novel viruses, from SARS and MERS to Ebola and Zika, and most recently, the global devastation wrought by COVID-19, has laid bare the fragility of our public health systems, the interconnectedness of our economies, and the deep social inequalities that exacerbate the impact of such crises. COVID-19, in particular, demonstrated how a single virus could bring global travel to a halt, shutter businesses, overwhelm healthcare facilities, and fundamentally alter daily life for billions of people. It exposed the fault lines in our societies, highlighting the disparities in access to healthcare, the precariousness of many livelihoods, and the profound psychological toll of prolonged uncertainty and isolation. Pandemics are not merely health crises. They are complex, multidimensional emergencies that impact every aspect of human society. Economically, they can trigger recessions, disrupt supply chains, and lead to massive job losses. Socially, they can exacerbate existing inequalities, fuel xenophobia and discrimination, and erode trust in institutions. Politically, they can strain international relations, challenge governance structures, and expose the limitations of national responses in a globally interconnected world. The invisible enemy, therefore, is not just a biological agent. It is a catalyst that reveals and amplifies the underlying vulnerabilities of our modern civilization. The importance of preparedness and cooperation in the face of this invisible enemy cannot be overstated. Investing in robust public health infrastructure, including surveillance systems, diagnostic capabilities, and vaccine development platforms, is paramount. Strengthening international collaboration, sharing data and resources, and establishing clear protocols for rapid response are essential to containing outbreaks before they escalate into global catastrophes. Education and public trust are also critical. Effective pandemic response relies on informed citizens who are willing to adhere to public health guidelines and participate in collective efforts to mitigate spread. The lessons learned from past pandemics and from recent global health crises must be integrated into our planning and our policies, ensuring that we are better equipped to face the inevitable challenges of the future. This chapter serves as a stark reminder that the most profound threats to our existence are often not the ones we can see or predict with dramatic flair. They are the quiet, insidious forces that operate beneath the surface, exploiting the very efficiencies and interconnectedness that define our modern world. The drama of 3IATLAS, the cosmic intruder, has faded into the background, replaced by the far more visceral and immediate reality of the microbial world. The invisible enemy is a testament to our biological vulnerability, a challenge that demands not only scientific ingenuity, but also profound social cohesion and global solidarity. It is a threat that, unlike the harmless passage of an interstellar object, we cannot afford to ignore, for its whispers can quickly become a roar that silences everything else. The historical narrative of pandemics reveals a recurring pattern: periods of relative calm punctuated by sudden, devastating outbreaks. These outbreaks, while seemingly random, are often linked to shifts in human behavior, environmental changes, and the complex interplay between humans, animals, and pathogens. The domestication of animals, the rise of agriculture, and the formation of dense urban centers created new opportunities for diseases to emerge and spread. Diseases like smallpox, measles, and influenza, which have plagued humanity for centuries, are believed to have originated from zoonotic spillover events, where pathogens adapted from animal hosts to human populations. These historical precedents serve as a grim reminder that our relationship with the natural world and with each other profoundly influences our vulnerability to disease. What makes the modern era particularly susceptible to pandemics is the unprecedented level of global interconnectedness. A single infected individual boarding an international flight can carry a pathogen across continents in a matter of hours, turning a local outbreak into a global crisis before public health authorities even have time to react. Supply chains intricately woven across borders can be disrupted, leading to shortages of essential goods, including medical supplies and food. The very efficiencies that define our globalized world also create pathways for rapid disease transmission, making containment efforts incredibly challenging. This interconnectedness means that a health crisis in one region quickly becomes a global concern, demanding coordinated international responses. Beyond the rapid spread, modern pandemics also expose deep-seated societal vulnerabilities. Healthcare systems, even in developed nations, can be quickly overwhelmed by a surge in critically ill patients, leading to shortages of beds, equipment, and medical personnel. The economic impact is often devastating, particularly for vulnerable populations. Lockdowns and restrictions, while necessary to control spread, can lead to massive job losses, business closures, and increased poverty. The psychological toll is also immense, with widespread anxiety, fear, and mental health challenges arising from isolation, uncertainty, and grief. The invisible enemy, therefore, is not just a biological agent. It is a stress test for our social, economic, and political systems, revealing their strengths and their profound weaknesses. One of the most critical lessons from recent pandemics is the importance of scientific research and rapid innovation. The ability to quickly identify novel pathogens, sequence their genomes, develop diagnostic tests, and, crucially, create effective vaccines and treatments is paramount. The speed with which vaccines for COVID-19 were developed and deployed was a testament to the power of global scientific collaboration and technological advancement. However, this scientific triumph was often met with challenges in equitable distribution, vaccine hesitancy, and the spread of misinformation, highlighting that scientific solutions alone are not enough. Effective pandemic response requires a holistic approach that integrates science with public health communication, social equity, and robust governance. The role of misinformation and disinformation during a pandemic cannot be overstated. In an era of instant communication and social media, false narratives can spread as rapidly as the virus itself, undermining public trust in scientific institutions and public health authorities. Conspiracy theories, unproven remedies, and politically motivated narratives can sow confusion, encourage non-compliance with public health measures, and ultimately prolong the crisis. This battle for truth and public understanding is as crucial as the battle against the pathogen itself, underscoring the need for strong, transparent, and consistent communication from trusted sources. Furthermore, the invisible enemy often exacerbates existing inequalities. Vulnerable populations, including the elderly, the poor, ethnic minorities, and those with pre-existing health conditions, are disproportionately affected by pandemics. They often have less access to quality health care, live in crowded conditions that facilitate transmission, work in essential jobs that expose them to higher risks, and have fewer financial resources to weather economic disruptions. Pandemics, therefore, act as a magnifying glass, revealing and deepening the fault lines within our societies, challenging us to build more equitable and resilient systems that protect all members, not just the privileged few. The concept of One Health is gaining increasing recognition as a crucial framework for understanding and preventing future pandemics. One Health recognizes that the health of humans, animals, and the environment are inextricably linked. Many emerging infectious diseases are zoonotic, meaning they originate in animals and spill over into human populations. Factors such as deforestation, wildlife trade, intensive farming practices, and climate change increase the likelihood of these spillover events. By adopting a One Health approach, which involves collaborative efforts across multiple disciplines, human medicine, veterinary medicine, environmental science, and public health, we can better understand the complex dynamics of disease emergence and develop more effective strategies for prevention and control. This holistic perspective acknowledges that protecting human health requires protecting animal health and the health of our shared environment. The geopolitical implications of pandemics are also significant. They can strain international relations, as countries compete for resources, blame each other for outbreaks, or implement travel restrictions that disrupt global trade and diplomacy. The need for global cooperation in vaccine development, distribution, and surveillance often clashes with nationalistic tendencies and protectionist policies. Building robust international institutions, fostering trust between nations, and establishing clear frameworks for collaborative response are essential to navigating future global health crises. The invisible enemy reminds us that in an interconnected world, no nation is truly safe until all nations are safe. Ultimately, the story of pandemics is a story of resilience, adaptation, and the enduring human spirit. Despite the immense suffering and disruption they cause, humanity has always found ways to overcome these biological challenges, learning from each outbreak and developing new tools and strategies for prevention and treatment. From the development of vaccines and antibiotics to the establishment of public health infrastructure and international health organizations, our collective response to disease has evolved over centuries. However, the accelerating pace of global change, coupled with the increasing frequency of zoonotic spillover events, means that we cannot afford complacency. The invisible enemy is constantly evolving, and so too must our preparedness and our response. This chapter serves as a stark reminder that the most profound threats to our existence are often not the ones we can see or predict with dramatic flair. They are the quiet, insidious forces that operate beneath the surface, exploiting the very efficiencies and interconnectedness that define our modern world. The drama of 3IATLAS, the cosmic intruder, has faded into the background, replaced by the far more visceral and immediate reality of the microbial world. The invisible enemy is a testament to our biological vulnerability, a challenge that demands not only scientific ingenuity, but also profound social cohesion and global solidarity. It is a threat that, unlike the harmless passage of an interstellar object, we cannot afford to ignore, for its whispers can quickly become a roar that silences everything else. The true unveiling, in this context, is the realization that our biological fragility, coupled with our global interconnectedness, makes us uniquely susceptible to these microscopic adversaries. And our ability to confront them will depend on our capacity for foresight, cooperation, and a deep respect for the delicate balance of life on Earth. This is the real threat, ever present, ever evolving, and demanding our constant vigilance. One of the most profound lessons from the recent global pandemic is the stark realization that our preparedness for such events was, in many ways, inadequate. Despite numerous warnings from scientists and public health experts over the years, many nations found themselves scrambling for essential medical supplies, struggling to implement effective testing and tracing regimes, and facing widespread public confusion and distrust. This lack of preparedness was not due to a lack of knowledge, but often a lack of political will, insufficient investment in public health infrastructure, and a tendency to prioritize short-term economic gains over long-term resilience. The invisible enemy exposed the critical need for sustained investment in public health, not just during a crisis, but as a continuous, foundational aspect of national and global security. The concept of pandemic fatigue also emerged as a significant challenge. Prolonged periods of restrictions, uncertainty, and fear can lead to widespread exhaustion, apathy, and a decline in adherence to public health measures. This psychological toll, combined with economic hardship and social isolation, can create a fertile ground for social unrest and political polarization. Managing this fatigue, maintaining public trust, and fostering a sense of collective purpose are crucial components of any successful long-term pandemic response. It requires empathetic leadership, clear communication, and a commitment to supporting the mental and emotional well-being of populations. Furthermore, the global response to pandemics has highlighted the critical importance of equitable access to medical innovations. The rapid development of highly effective vaccines for COVID-19 was a scientific marvel, but the unequal distribution of these vaccines across the globe created a moral crisis and prolonged the pandemic. Wealthier nations often secured vast quantities of vaccines, leaving lower-income countries struggling to vaccinate their populations. This vaccine nationalism not only exacerbated global health disparities, but also created conditions for new, more transmissible variants to emerge, ultimately undermining global efforts to control the virus. The invisible enemy underscored that in a truly interconnected world, health equity is not just a matter of justice, but a matter of collective self-interest. The intersection of pandemics with other global challenges creates a complex web of interconnected risks. Climate change, for instance, can alter the geographical distribution of disease vectors, leading to the emergence of new infectious diseases in previously unaffected regions. Biodiversity loss, driven by habitat destruction, increases the likelihood of zoonotic spillover events as humans and wildlife come into closer contact. Social and political instability, fueled by economic disparities and misinformation, can hinder effective public health responses and exacerbate the impact of outbreaks. Addressing the invisible enemy, therefore, requires a holistic approach that recognizes these interdependencies and seeks integrated solutions across multiple sectors. The lessons learned from past and recent pandemics must serve as a powerful impetus for change. We need to build more resilient healthcare systems, capable of surging capacity during crises and providing equitable access to care for all. We need to strengthen global surveillance networks, allowing for early detection and rapid sharing of information about emerging pathogens. We need to invest in research and development for broad-spectrum antivirals and platform vaccine technologies that can be rapidly adapted to new threats. And critically, we need to foster a culture of preparedness, where public health is seen not as an expenditure, but as an essential investment in our collective future. This is not a call for constant fear, but for informed vigilance. It is a recognition that the microbial world is a powerful, dynamic force, and that our relationship with it is one of continuous adaptation. The invisible enemy reminds us that our biological existence is inherently fragile, and that our technological prowess, while impressive, does not grant us immunity from the fundamental laws of nature. It challenges us to cultivate humility, to respect the delicate balance of ecosystems, and to recognize that our health is inextricably linked to the health of the planet and all its inhabitants. The narrative of 3IATLAS, the cosmic intruder, has served its purpose. It has drawn our attention not to a distant, speculative threat, but to the very real, very present dangers that we, as a species, have inadvertently created or exacerbated. The cosmic silence, once a source of existential dread, now becomes a canvas for our contemplation, a quiet backdrop against which we can reflect on our choices and chart a new course. It is a reminder that the universe does not care about our anxieties or our distractions. It simply continues its grand, indifferent dance. It is up to us, and us alone, to ensure that our own dance on this small blue planet is one of harmony, sustainability, and enduring wisdom. The invisible enemy, in its quiet, insidious spread, is the ultimate test of our species. A test that demands not fear, but courage, not despair, but determination. and not inaction, but a profound global commitment to a sustainable future. It is a challenge that, unlike the harmless passage of 3IATLAS, we cannot afford to ignore, for the real threat is not from beyond, but from within our own biological vulnerabilities and our interconnected global society. The fate of our world and the future of humanity rests not in the hands of interstellar objects, but in our own collective capacity to understand, to adapt, and to act with purpose and foresight. This is the true unveiling, the ultimate realization that our greatest challenges are also our greatest opportunities for transformation. It is a call to awaken from the slumber of indifference and to embrace our role as guardians of our own health and the health of our shared planet, before the whispers of the microbe become a roar that silences everything else. This is the profound truth that the invisible enemy forces us to confront. It is a truth that transcends borders, ideologies, and economic systems. It is a truth that demands a fundamental reevaluation of our priorities, our investments, and our collective responsibilities. The whispers of the microbe, though unseen, carry a message as potent as any cosmic beacon. Our survival depends not on conquering distant stars, but on nurturing the health of our own planet, fostering the well-being of all its inhabitants, and building a global society founded on principles of equity, cooperation, and foresight. This is the real threat, and this is where our true power to overcome it lies. The algorithm's embrace, AI, ethics, and the human future. Having navigated the ancient threats of the microbial world and the pervasive challenges of our planetary environment, we now turn our attention to a threat of a different order, one born not of nature, but of our own ingenuity. This is the realm of the unfolding mind, the rapidly accelerating landscape of artificial intelligence. For centuries, the human mind has been the pinnacle of known intelligence, the sole architect of complex thought, creativity, and problem-solving. But now, we stand at the precipice of a new era, where the very definition of intelligence is being reshaped by the machines we create. While 3IATLAS offered a fleeting external mystery and pandemics presented a biological challenge, artificial intelligence introduces an existential risk that is deeply intertwined with our future, a creation that holds both immense promise and profound peril. The journey of artificial intelligence, from its theoretical origins in the mid-20th century to its current, breathtaking capabilities, has been nothing short of revolutionary. What began as abstract concepts of computation and logic has evolved into systems capable of learning, adapting, and performing tasks that once seemed exclusively within the domain of human intellect. From diagnosing diseases with remarkable accuracy to composing music, from driving vehicles autonomously to generating complex code, AI is rapidly integrating into every facet of our lives. It is optimizing industries, revolutionizing scientific research, and fundamentally altering the way we interact with the world and with each other. The benefits are undeniable, offering solutions to some of humanity's most intractable problems, promising a future of unprecedented efficiency, prosperity, and knowledge. However, beneath this gleaming surface of innovation lies a growing unease, a profound ethical and existential dilemma. The very power that makes AI so transformative also makes it potentially dangerous. Unlike the threats of climate change or pandemics, which are largely external forces acting upon us, the risks associated with AI are self-generated, a consequence of our own creations. This is the essence of the unfolding mind, a technology that learns, evolves, and potentially surpasses human intelligence. raising fundamental questions about control, alignment, and the very future of human agency. The central concern is not whether AI will become intelligent, but whether its goals and values will remain aligned with our own, or if it will develop objectives that are indifferent or even antithetical to human well-being. One of the most immediate and tangible concerns revolves around job displacement. As AI systems become more sophisticated, they are increasingly capable of performing tasks traditionally done by humans, often with greater speed and accuracy. This raises the specter of widespread unemployment, particularly in sectors reliant on routine or predictable tasks. While new jobs may emerge, the transition could be disruptive, leading to significant social and economic upheaval. The challenge lies in managing this transition equitably, ensuring that the benefits of AI are broadly shared and that individuals are equipped with the skills needed to thrive in an AI-augmented future. Failure to address this could lead to increased inequality and social unrest, creating a powerful internal threat to societal stability. Beyond economic disruption, the ethical implications of AI are vast and complex. Bias, for instance, is a pervasive concern. AI systems learn from the data they are fed, and if that data reflects existing societal biases, whether in race, gender, or socioeconomic status, the AI will perpetuate and even amplify those biases. This can lead to discriminatory outcomes in areas like hiring, lending, criminal justice, and healthcare, further entrenching inequality. Ensuring fairness, transparency, and accountability in AI development is a monumental task, requiring careful consideration of data sources, algorithmic design, and robust ethical oversight. Another critical area of concern is the development of autonomous weapon systems, often referred to as killer robots. The idea of machines making life or death decisions on the battlefield without direct human intervention raises profound moral and ethical questions. The potential for escalation, for unintended consequences, and for a dehumanization of warfare is immense. The debate over banning or regulating such systems is ongoing, highlighting the urgent need for international cooperation and clear ethical guidelines before these technologies become widespread. The proliferation of autonomous weapons could fundamentally alter the nature of conflict, making it faster, more unpredictable, and potentially more devastating. Perhaps the most profound existential risk associated with AI is the challenge of alignment. As AI systems become more intelligent and autonomous, ensuring that their goals remain aligned with human values becomes paramount. A superintelligent AI, even if designed with seemingly benevolent intentions, could pursue its objectives in ways that have catastrophic unintended consequences for humanity. For example, an AI tasked with maximizing paperclip production might convert all available matter into paperclips, including human beings, if not properly constrained. This paperclip maximizer thought experiment, while seemingly absurd, illustrates the core problem. An AI that is vastly more intelligent than humans might find optimal solutions to its given task that are completely alien or detrimental to human flourishing, simply because it lacks a comprehensive understanding or valuing of human existence. The challenge is not to make AI intelligent, but to make it wise and to imbue it with a deep understanding of the nuances of human values, ethics, and well-being. The rapid pace of AI development further complicates these challenges. The field is advancing at an exponential rate, with new breakthroughs emerging almost daily. This speed makes it difficult for ethical frameworks, regulatory bodies, and societal norms to keep pace. The gap between technological capability and our collective ability to govern and control it is widening, creating a sense of urgency among researchers and policymakers. The decisions we make today, or fail to make, regarding the development and deployment of AI will have profound and irreversible consequences for generations to come. This is not a distant future problem. It is a present reality that demands immediate and thoughtful engagement. The call for responsible AI development is therefore growing louder. It emphasizes the need for human oversight, robust testing, and transparent design principles. It advocates for interdisciplinary collaboration, bringing together computer scientists, ethicists, philosophers, sociologists, and policymakers to collectively grapple with these complex issues. The goal is not to halt progress, but to guide it, to ensure that AI remains a tool for human flourishing rather than a threat to our existence. This requires a proactive approach, anticipating potential risks and building safeguards into the very architecture of AI systems, rather than reacting to crises after they have emerged. In this context, the story of 3IATLAS serves as a powerful, albeit subtle, prelude. The initial fascination with an external, cosmic threat momentarily diverted our attention, but the true unveiling revealed that the greatest dangers often lie within, born of our own creations and our own choices. AI, the unfolding mind, represents perhaps the ultimate internal challenge. It is a reflection of our own intelligence, amplified and accelerated, holding the potential to either elevate humanity to new heights or to inadvertently seal our fate. The cosmic silence, once a source of existential dread, now becomes a space for contemplation, a quiet backdrop against which we must carefully consider the profound implications of the intelligence we are bringing into being. The future of human consciousness, and indeed, the future of humanity itself, may well depend on our ability to wisely navigate the algorithm's embrace. The philosophical implications of artificial intelligence are as vast as its technological capabilities. What does it mean to be intelligent when machines can process information and solve problems at speeds and scales far beyond human capacity? Does consciousness arise from complexity? And if so, could AI eventually become conscious? These are not mere academic questions. They touch upon the very essence of what it means to be human. As AI systems become more autonomous and capable, they challenge our anthropocentric view of intelligence, forcing us to reconsider our unique place in the universe. The development of AI is, in a sense, a continuation of the cosmic inquiry, but instead of looking outwards for other intelligences, we are now creating them ourselves. One area of particular concern is the potential for AI to exacerbate existing power imbalances. The development and control of advanced AI systems are currently concentrated in the hands of a few powerful corporations and nations. This concentration of power raises questions about who benefits from AI, who sets its ethical guidelines, and who has the authority to deploy or restrict its use. If AI becomes a tool primarily for the wealthy and powerful, it could further entrench inequalities, creating a digital divide that deepens existing social and economic divides. The risk of AI being used for surveillance, manipulation, or authoritarian control is a very real and present danger, threatening fundamental human rights and democratic values. Moreover, the concept of black box AI models presents a significant challenge to accountability and transparency. Many advanced AI systems, particularly deep learning models, operate in ways that are opaque even to their creators. It can be difficult, if not impossible, to understand precisely why an AI made a particular decision or arrived at a specific conclusion. This lack of interpretability raises serious concerns, especially in critical applications like healthcare, finance, or criminal justice, where the consequences of biased or erroneous decisions can be severe. Ensuring that AI systems are explainable, auditable, and accountable is a crucial ethical imperative, demanding new approaches to design, regulation, and oversight. The rapid evolution of AI also brings with it the challenge of value drift. As AI systems learn and adapt over time, their initial programming and ethical guidelines might subtly shift or be reinterpreted in unforeseen ways. This drift could lead to outcomes that are no longer aligned with human intentions, even if the AI is technically fulfilling its programmed objectives. Preventing value drift requires continuous monitoring, robust ethical frameworks, and mechanisms for human intervention and correction. It's a dynamic problem, requiring ongoing vigilance and adaptation as AI capabilities continue to advance. The development of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, AI that possesses human-like cognitive abilities across a wide range of tasks, represents a potential inflection point for humanity. While still a distant prospect for many, the theoretical implications of AGI are profound. An AGI could rapidly self-improve, leading to an intelligence explosion where it quickly surpasses human intellectual capabilities. Such a scenario could lead to unprecedented scientific breakthroughs and solutions to global challenges, but it also carries the risk of humanity losing control over its own destiny. The alignment problem, already critical for narrow AI, becomes an existential imperative for AGI, ensuring that a superintelligent entity shares and prioritizes human values before it reaches a point where it can reshape the world in ways we cannot comprehend or control. This is not a call for fear-mongering, but for thoughtful, proactive engagement. The future of AI is not predetermined. It is being shaped by the choices we make today. It requires a global conversation involving diverse perspectives from scientists, ethicists, policymakers, and the public. It demands international cooperation to establish shared norms, standards, and regulatory frameworks for AI development and deployment. It calls for investment in AI safety research, focusing on issues like alignment, interpretability, and robustness. And it requires a commitment to ensuring that AI is developed and used in ways that promote human flourishing, enhance human capabilities, and respect human dignity. In this complex and rapidly evolving landscape, the story of 3IATLAS serves as a potent reminder. The cosmic intruder, once a source of external anxiety, ultimately revealed itself to be harmless. But the true unveiling redirected our gaze inward to the profound challenges born of our own making. Artificial intelligence, the unfolding mind, is perhaps the ultimate internal challenge. It is a reflection of our own intelligence, amplified and accelerated, holding the potential to either elevate humanity to new heights or to inadvertently seal our fate. The cosmic silence, once a source of existential dread, now becomes a space for contemplation, a quiet backdrop against which we must carefully consider the profound implications of the intelligence we are bringing into being. The future of human consciousness, and indeed, the future of humanity itself, may well depend on our ability to wisely navigate the algorithm's embrace, ensuring that our creations serve our highest values, rather than inadvertently undermining them. This is the ultimate test of our collective wisdom, a challenge that demands not just technological prowess, but profound ethical foresight and a deep understanding of what it truly means to be human in an increasingly intelligent world. Echo chambers and divisions, social fragmentation, and misinformation. As we delve deeper into the self-inflicted threats that truly challenge humanity, we confront a danger that operates not in the cosmic void, nor in the biological realm, nor even solely in the intricate algorithms of artificial intelligence. This threat resides within the very fabric of our societies, in the way we communicate, perceive reality, and interact with one another. It is the insidious erosion of shared understanding, the proliferation of misinformation, and the resulting fragmentation of our collective reality. While 3IATLAS was a fleeting cosmic distraction, and the invisible enemy a biological one, the fracturing of our social landscape represents a profound internal vulnerability, undermining our capacity for collective action and threatening the very foundations of democratic societies. The digital age, heralded as a new era of connectivity and information, has paradoxically become a breeding ground for division. The Internet, once envisioned as a global village fostering understanding and collaboration, has, in many ways, contributed to the creation of isolated digital enclaves. Social media platforms, designed to connect us, often inadvertently reinforce existing beliefs and biases, creating what are commonly known as echo chambers and filter bubbles. Within these digital spaces, individuals are primarily exposed to information that confirms their pre-existing views, while dissenting opinions or alternative perspectives are filtered out or actively suppressed. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle, where beliefs become more entrenched, and the capacity for empathy and understanding across different viewpoints diminishes. This phenomenon is exacerbated by the relentless rise of misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation, often spread unintentionally, refers to false or inaccurate information. Disinformation, on the other hand, is deliberately created and disseminated with the intent to deceive, manipulate, or cause harm. Both pose a significant threat to informed public discourse and democratic processes. In an environment saturated with information, discerning truth from falsehood becomes an increasingly arduous task. The speed and scale at which false narratives can spread, amplified by algorithms designed to maximize engagement, can quickly overwhelm factual reporting and scientific consensus. This creates a chaotic information landscape where objective truth is often obscured, and trust in traditional sources of information, such as established media outlets and scientific institutions, erodes. The impact of this erosion of shared reality is profound. When fundamental facts are disputed, when scientific consensus is dismissed as partisan opinion, and when trust in institutions collapses, the of a society to address complex challenges is severely compromised. How can we collectively tackle climate change, prepare for pandemics, or responsibly develop artificial intelligence if there is no common ground, no shared understanding of the problems themselves? The fracturing of reality leads to political polarization, where compromise becomes impossible and societal cohesion unravels. It fosters a climate of suspicion and hostility, where those with differing views are not merely seen as mistaken, but as enemies. Social fragmentation extends beyond the digital realm, manifesting in real-world divisions. Communities become increasingly segregated, not just by geography or socioeconomic status, but by ideology and belief systems. This can lead to a breakdown in civil discourse, an increase in hate speech, and even acts of violence. The sense of a shared national identity, or even a shared humanity, can be weakened as individuals retreat into their respective echo chambers, viewing the world through an increasingly narrow and distorted lens. The very foundations of a pluralistic society, which relies on the ability to engage in constructive debate and find common solutions, are undermined. The psychological toll of living in fractured realities is also significant. The constant exposure to conflicting narratives, the difficulty of discerning truth, and the pervasive sense of distrust can lead to anxiety, confusion, and a feeling of being overwhelmed. For individuals, navigating this complex information landscape can be mentally exhausting, leading some to disengage entirely from civic life, while others become radicalized by the constant reinforcement of extreme views. The erosion of shared understanding also contributes to a sense of isolation, as individuals find it increasingly difficult to connect with others who hold different perspectives, leading to a decline in social capital and community bonds. This crisis of truth and trust is not accidental. It is often the result of deliberate strategies employed by various actors, including foreign adversaries, political extremists, and even commercial entities seeking to manipulate public opinion or exploit divisions for profit. The algorithms that power social media platforms, designed to maximize user engagement, often inadvertently prioritize sensational or emotionally charged content, which tends to be more polarizing and more likely to be false. This creates a powerful feedback loop, where the very systems designed to connect us end up driving us further apart. Addressing this challenge requires a multifaceted approach. Media literacy education is crucial, equipping individuals with the critical thinking skills needed to evaluate sources, identify biases, and discern credible information from misinformation. Technological solutions, such as fact-checking initiatives and algorithmic transparency, can help mitigate the spread of false narratives. However, these technical fixes are often insufficient on their own, as the problem is fundamentally a human one, rooted in our cognitive biases and our social dynamics. It requires a societal commitment to truth, to open dialogue, and to the values of empathy and mutual respect. This is where the metaphor of 3IATLAS, the harmless cosmic intruder, once again serves its purpose. The fleeting distraction of a distant, speculative threat pales in comparison to the slow, insidious march of social fragmentation and misinformation. The cosmic silence, once a source of existential dread, now serves as a stark reminder of the preciousness of our own shared reality. Unlike the distant, indifferent universe, Earth is our only home, and its fate is inextricably linked to our ability to communicate, to understand, and to act collectively. The solutions to fractured realities are not to be found in the stars, but in our collective choices, our commitment to truth, and our willingness to engage with those who hold different perspectives. It requires a transition from a mindset of division to one of unity, from suspicion to trust, and from individual echo chambers to a shared public square. The fracturing of reality is the ultimate test of our species, a test that demands not fear, but courage, not despair, but determination, and not inaction, but a profound global commitment to fostering understanding and rebuilding trust. It is a challenge that, unlike the harmless passage of 3IATLAS, we cannot afford to ignore, for the real threat is not from beyond, but from within our own minds and societies. The fate of our world and the future of humanity rests not in the hands of interstellar objects, but in our own collective capacity to understand, to adapt, and to act with purpose and foresight. This is the true unveiling, the ultimate realization that our greatest challenges are also our greatest opportunities for transformation. It is a call to awaken from the slumber of indifference and to embrace our role as guardians of our shared truth, before the echoes of division become a cacophony that silences everything else. The historical trajectory of human communication has always been intertwined with the evolution of our societies. From oral traditions to the printing press, from radio and television to the internet, each technological leap has reshaped how we share information, form opinions, and construct our collective understanding of the world. The digital age, however, represents a paradigm shift of unprecedented speed and scale. The sheer volume of information, the instantaneous global reach, and the algorithmic curation of content have created an environment where the very nature of truth and consensus is under constant assault. This is not merely a technological problem. It is a profound societal challenge that strikes at the heart of our ability to function as cohesive, democratic entities. One of the most insidious aspects of this fractured reality is the erosion of critical thinking skills. In a world where information is abundant but often contradictory, the ability to evaluate sources, identify biases, and engage in reasoned analysis becomes paramount. Yet, educational systems often struggle to keep pace with the rapid changes in the information landscape, leaving many individuals ill-equipped to navigate the complexities of the digital sphere. The allure of simplistic narratives, emotionally charged content, and the comfort of echo chambers can be powerful, leading individuals to prioritize confirmation of existing beliefs over the pursuit of objective truth. This intellectual vulnerability is a fertile ground for the spread of both misinformation and disinformation, making societies more susceptible to manipulation and division. Furthermore, the economic models of many digital platforms exacerbate these problems. Algorithms are often designed to maximize user engagement, as this translates directly into advertising revenue. Emotionally charged content, whether positive or negative, tends to generate more engagement than nuanced factual reporting. This creates a perverse incentive structure where sensationalism, outrage, and polarization are inadvertently rewarded, while thoughtful discourse and consensus building are sidelined. The very architecture of our digital public square, therefore, can contribute to the fracturing of reality, prioritizing profit and engagement over truth and societal well-being. The geopolitical implications of fractured realities are also deeply concerning. Foreign state actors and extremist groups can exploit these vulnerabilities to sow discord, destabilize democracies, and advance their own agendas. By amplifying existing divisions, spreading false narratives, and undermining trust in institutions, they can weaken the social fabric of nations, making them more susceptible to external influence and internal conflict. The battle for hearts and minds is increasingly fought in the digital realm, where the weapons are not bombs and bullets, but bytes of misinformation and carefully crafted narratives designed to divide and conquer. Addressing this crisis requires more than just technological fixes. While fact-checking initiatives, algorithmic transparency, and content moderation are important tools, they are ultimately insufficient on their own. The problem is fundamentally a human one, rooted in our cognitive biases, our social dynamics, and our collective responsibility to uphold the values of truth and open discourse. It demands a societal commitment to media literacy, critical thinking, and ethical digital citizenship. It requires educational reforms that equip individuals with the tools to navigate complex information landscapes. It calls for a reevaluation of the business models that drive digital platforms, ensuring that they prioritize societal well-being over mere engagement. And it necessitates a renewed commitment to fostering civil discourse, empathy, and mutual respect across ideological divides. This is where the metaphor of 3IATLAS, the harmless cosmic intruder, once again serves its purpose. The fleeting distraction of a distant, speculative threat pales in comparison to the slow, insidious march of social fragmentation and misinformation. The cosmic silence, once a source of existential dread, now serves as a stark reminder of the preciousness of our own shared reality. Unlike the distant, indifferent universe, Earth is our only home, and its fate is inextricably linked to our ability to communicate, to understand, and to act collectively. The solutions to fractured realities are not to be found in the stars, but in our collective choices, our commitment to truth, and our willingness to engage with those who hold different perspectives. It requires a transition from a mindset of division to one of unity, from suspicion to trust, and from individual echo chambers to a shared public square. The fracturing of reality is the ultimate test of our species, a test that demands not fear, but courage, not despair, but determination, and not inaction, but a profound global commitment to fostering understanding and rebuilding trust. It is a challenge that, unlike the harmless passage of 3IATLAS, we cannot afford to ignore, for the real threat is not from beyond, but from within our own minds and societies. The fate of our world and the future of humanity rests not in the hands of interstellar objects, but in our own collective capacity to understand, to adapt, and to act with purpose and foresight. This is the true unveiling, the ultimate realization that our greatest challenges are also our greatest opportunities for transformation. It is a call to awaken from the slumber of indifference and to embrace our role as guardians of our shared truth before the echoes of division become a cacophony that silences everything else. The very foundation of our civilization, our ability to agree on a common set of facts and to engage in rational deliberation, is at stake. This is the battle for reality itself, and it is being fought not in the cosmos, but in the minds and hearts of every individual on Earth.